of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda item number 3, establish a quorum. Julie, do we have a quorum? We do. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there any change of sequence or removal of items?
No, there is not, other than I'm going to let you know that the DFE, that was the diverse food works equipment quote. That's the wrong one that got attached. There's a lower one, and I'm sharing that with the board.
Okay.
In an email, Jen will pull it up when it gets to that. I renegotiated with the company that we went with it. It's a lower quote, so.
I like that.
This is what they're still, yeah.
Okay. Item number 5 is announcements. Are there any announcements?
I have none.
Then we'll go on to number 6, which is celebrations. Warsaw Business Awards.
Oh, these are the WASB ones.
WASB for, sorry.
Yep.
The Wisconsin Association of School Boards Business Awards.
Yep, and we're going to start with,
One is sitting here.
yeah, the other one is
The other
coming.
one's on his way.
He's on his way. So let's go with the one that's here first.
Okay, wonderful. And you know, that means I'm supposed to pull up the info that we submitted.
Correct. Why are you looking at me?
Do you know what? Okay, so you're gonna have to, bear with me for a second.
So I can, while you're looking it up.
Why don't you give the background?
So the WASB, we're both WRSA, the Rural Schools Alliance, and the Association of School Boards allow school districts to nominate business partners within their community that have an impact on both the community and the school district. So the board, you have to help me with the date, several months back, the board selected nominees. We nominated one business for the WRSA award, and we nominated 5 local businesses for the Association of School Board Business Honor Roll. So the
Keep talking.
Hay Creek Pallet and Gardner Cranberry were unable to attend at the last meeting, so we wanted to make sure we ended up those awards this evening. Find
Okay. Yes, I'm just scrolling down right now. Okay. Yes, this is the first year we've done this, and it's really a good thing to do because, you know, a school is part of a community and businesses are part of the community. And we have to work together for the future of not just the students, but the community as a whole. I'm going to read the what the nomination said for Hay Creek Pallet. Hay Creek Pallet, owned and operated by Tom and Janine Gardner, has partnered with the school district by serving as a site for senior capstone placements for years. This business also sponsors a generous scholarship for graduating seniors for the past 4 years, sponsors seasonal PHS sports schedules in the local newspaper, and have contributed to the summer theater program. The Gardners and Hay Creek are always looking for ways to support the community of Pittsville and the Pittsville School District. So thank you, Tom, and thank you to the woman behind the man.
Who I think is letting Trevor in the
Who I think
building.
is letting Trevor in. Oh, yes, I always forget that. I think we need a motion to approve the agenda. We do, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I so moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All those formalities. So next, I will, I think we should do them, so all the board members don't have to get up twice. Yeah, so, thank you, Trevor, I'm glad you're able to be here tonight. Just a quick overview, Gardner Cranberry was nominated by our board for, recognition by the Wisconsin Association of School Boards in the Business Honor Roll. And I would like to read that nomination to you. Gardner Cranberry has been an outstanding supporter of the Pittsville School District, particularly the Agricultural Education Program, FFA, and FFA alumni. Their partnership has provided students with real-world agricultural experiences and a deeper understanding of Wisconsin's cranberry industry. Gardner Cranberry plays a key role in the success of the annual Splash of Red tours, where students guide hundreds of visitors through the cranberry harvest, sharing insights and promoting agricultural literacy. Their support has enriched student learning, expanded career awareness, and helped elevate Pittsville's agricultural program into one of pride and excellence. Gardner Cranberry is a vital partner in agricultural education and community outreach. We would like to present a certificate to both Hickory Pallet and Gardner Cranberry. And I'd like to ask my colleagues on the board to join in that presentation. And Taylor, you'll take pictures, right? Wonderful. So I'm telling Janine, if you would like to come up first.
Then this will go out on social media and everything, so.
Okay, so there it is. You can hang it with pride in the office.
Great, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Jennifer for Trevor. So here's the award. Hope it goes in down.
Oh.
And see you. Okay, so different varieties of berries. Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Please look for this on social media and share it to your social media also, if you would. That would be great.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do all the time, not just for being here today. Okay, next we have public comments per School Board Policy 187. Anyone here for public comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to agenda item number 8, which is the consent agenda items. A, meeting notice certification. B, regular meeting minutes and closed minutes of November 10th, 2025. Financial status, hirings, varsity volleyball, junior high wrestling, and JV2 boys basketball. Any questions about the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll second.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I was looking at this versus my official board access. We also had resignations, Director of Building and Grounds, Library Media Specialist, and varsity volleyball coach. So we have to have you do.
That was last month.
I was just gonna say, where's that?
That was last month. I think you got the wrong month up.
Okay, super.
She's got the wrong month.
I couldn't wait.
No, I'm
It's
telling
been
you,
a
it was
long
the last
day,
month.
but I was just.
I'm just saying, that was last month.
That was last month.
That's not
But
mine.
December, so we'll do that during November. Or December.
But that's what I have. I don't have December on my,
No, I just try refreshing.
try refreshing.
That should be, I think you have the most, there's no
Well, I
initial
have
ones
the
on the.
printed, I have the printed copy.
The printed one is accurate, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, the printed one, okay, the printed one should be accurate. I am sorry. Yes, I had to refresh my browser. Okay, so there was a motion to accept it, and there was a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, next we have our information only items, starting with item A, the district administrator update.
So I'm gonna keep this short tonight because we have a lot of heavy discussion items. So Jen, can you go through to our third slide? So I wanted to give an update regarding the building and grounds director position. So at the last meeting, I had informed the board that we were going to take a shot at trying to a multi-pronged approach to running this till the end of the school year. We know when we're licked. So there's been a lot in order to maintain doing my real job, one that I'm getting paid for, and overseeing the district. It's also pulling Troy and Stephen away probably more than we thought, and Dan. And everybody's been doing a yeoman's job. Like, it's been an opening experience. It's good that we did this, but we got to the point where we just said, all right, probably not feasible to do this till the end of the year. We're not doing service to our staff and our students. So I posted the position on weekend, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We do have a couple of applicants. I've begun doing phone screening interviews with the individual applicants. It's something I do. I like to just talk through with them and get a feel for the applicants. Plan is to form a committee of stakeholders to begin interviews in the next few weeks. Wouldn't go into that week before Christmas. So if we don't feel like it's feasible to interview then, it would be coming back from Christmas after the new year. But I'm not as concerned about the quantity of applicants as I would be about the quality of applicants. I mean, you get one quality applicant and it's worth moving forward. I would also say to the board, we can do interviews and not offer a position and continue like as, the nice thing is if you get quality applicants, you want to interview them when they apply. Because if you wait 2 weeks, sometimes people are applying elsewhere. The one thing I did want to discuss with the board and get maybe some feeling for your direction on is, I indicated I wanted to explore all options, which would include potentially contracting out for the position, which would involve 3 bids and a buy if we were to go that route, to look at maybe, using an RFP, sorry, thank you, Pam. An RFP process, if we were to move in that direction, if the board were to have an interest in hiring a firm to potentially hire a building and grounds director, much like Dasher did prior to my time here before we hired Dan Giles as a director. So I'm looking maybe for some feedback from the board if that would be something you'd be interested in me pursuing, because that can be done at the same time as this. So these things can happen. I just don't want to wait. I don't want to go through that process and wait to interview. I'd like to try to do these things simultaneously. And then I can give the board an idea on the quality of the applicants as we're interviewing them. So I just wanted to know if the board had any preferences. If you'd like to see me reach out to do an RFP, we'd send that out. I don't know how many, Pam might have a better idea. Pam, you weren't here when they did that the last time. How many companies are in the area that?
No, I don't know.
I think it's going to be very much like food service and other things. It's probably limited in what we're going to get. We may not find 3 firms, but I would be happy to do that if the board were to give me direction to bring that to the table along with hiring and trade question. Any thoughts on that?
My thought is, if you have already started the application and about to start the interview process, do we need to look at a firm to help assist us like that?
So here would be the advantage. The advantage would be obviously when you contract out is you're not on the hook for benefits. So you would pay a fee to the company. They are responsible for benefits and all those components. So the board we'd have to weigh the cost benefit. If we hired internally, they're our employee, right? And they still would be, even if we contracted out, they would still be technically our employee, but under the supervision of whatever firm it was who brought them in. And they do, several of these companies will not only do it the director, but they do offer services where they would contract all of your custodial employees. So then what it comes down to, honestly, is weighing the cost benefit to having your own people versus having that company hire people. Now, I was told, I actually spoke to the president of Dasher because I wanted to talk about the process last time and have him kind of fill me in how this works, that it would be a joint interview. If that were a direction the board wanted to go, the reason there would be value in doing these interviews now is they would do the same thing. They would post the position, and then the school, and we'll use this, whatever company, would interview for that building and grounds director. They would hire it and tell us who it was. We would be a part of the hiring process. So for me, there's some value in still doing these interviews. The deal would be this, what it would come down to would be flat out the financial, would there be benefit to say hiring internally and us having the person on our payroll with our benefits would be more beneficial. Other than that, I'll be honest with you, I don't see a lot of benefit to going with a contracted firm if it's not going to offer a cost savings. I guess, I know that's kind of a bloviated response, but I don't know if that makes sense. It would come down to dollars. If the benefits can be a huge, you tell you, like, that's a huge cost, personnel benefits, right? When you're talking a single person, is there gonna be a huge cost savings? Potentially, the person may not even take our district insurance, right? Even if we hired them. If you're talking the whole entity, that could be a significant savings because you're talking benefits for, potentially 8 people. So when you're doing one person, and Pam, you can share your thoughts, and I won't be offended if you differ from what I'm saying, is when it's only one person, it's just hard to gauge it. It's hit or miss.
It was pretty close to just break even,
Break
no matter how we looked at it the last several years. But with the full staff, I didn't look at it.
Correct.
And one thing to add to what Jason's saying is most of the firms will work with our employees as our employees, and then as they retire or resign or whatever, leave them, then they bring in their own. So like our staff that have, so many years of service, they wouldn't lose their years of service. They would maintain our employee until whatever time they wish to retire.
If they resigned or retired, then the
Would
company
they-
would hire a replacement and it would be their person then.
Would they lose, what would they lose? Our benefits?
Well, I wouldn't
Our
propose
staff,
that.
our staff would stay our staff.
So they wouldn't lose anything.
Yeah, to be clear, Rick, we would not propose, even if the
We would
board
not
said, let's go to the
eliminate
company,
ours.
our staff would remain our staff until they retired or resigned. Then the hiring would take place by the company in conjunction with us. They would then become their employees. So it'd be like a slow transition into that, but they would lose all our benefits in those components, and we would not do that to our
Right, and we
existing
have
staff.
people close to, retirement, and we don't want them to lose any of their post-retirement benefits, so.
It would be a transition over a period
Replacing
of
them
years.
with a contracted employee when they did leave.
Yeah, I would observe also that the cost of benefits is going to be rolled into whatever an
Absolutely.
outside firm would
Absolutely.
propose. So it's not like, okay, we don't pay benefits, we just pay the company who pays the benefits.
Yeah.
And how would we pay them? Annually?
It's annually, and it's a lump sum. It would be a contract like 3 or 5 year, whatever determined, like, let's say it was the building and grounds director, and let's say we had 2 retirements and 2 employees, they would give us a number to say, to oversee 2 staff of the building and grounds director, you would pay the company $211,000 per year. It'd be a flat number for these services. And it would be specifically which services they were gonna do, because it wouldn't just be like how we had, like, our director does whatever, other duties as assigned. Contracts would be very specific about these are the duties they would complete. There would be additional duties we would, as a district, be responsible for completing or contracting out for. Say, for instance, like snow removal would be, if it was included, they would add, that would make the bid more. If we didn't have it, we would have to pay an additional contract for snow removal outside of this contract. So,
Well, I think a few months ago, we also talked about getting a bid on food service. So I think we're wanting to explore all options, and it's a perfect time because we had a change anyways. I don't know that we would go that direction, but I would be in favor of at least knowing what it is. So we've explored it, and then we feel confident with the direction that we're going.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's just about what's cheaper. I also think it's about what meets our needs the best, and we have to be cost effective, right? But we talked a few months ago, and at some point this year, we're gonna get a food service one too. So, I think we're talking about the need so that we're staying within the money that we have and just making sure. So I think I would be in support of getting it. I don't want people to think that that means we've made a decision. So,
correct.
certainly any employees, that's gonna feel, even though we're keeping them on and it's a transition, it's still gonna have feels. So, I mean, I just want to be clear that the reason we're doing it is to make sure we know all of our options, not because we're actually going in that direction.
That's a great point, Julie, and I would very clearly communicate with the custodial staff prior to this that, hey, listen, here's the deal. We're not gonna, none of you are gonna lose your benefits, we're not gonna transition you out. So we would do an RFP process and we can proceed with that. Pam, what's the minimum for an RFP process how long does it have to be out for?
I don't know, but I
Is there a
know that the whole
minimum?
process is gonna take us 3 to 4 months.
Okay. To get the proposals
You have to
back?
advertise it, you have to send it, you have to give them so much time, so it's like 3 to 4 months probably from start to finish.
Okay.
So I would say, by January 1, you want to be starting this.
So that brings up another timeline question.
Yeah.
You indicated that you wanted to start doing phone screening interviews with the current applicants.
I already started.
Right, and the fact that I mean, there's always value in doing that sooner rather than later, because they might be going to someone else or some other position.
Sure.
What I'm hearing Pam say is if we would explore Dasher, we would have to put we have to lengthen the entire process. And I have concerns about how things are being handled right now and the effective use of your time, as well as the effective use of 2 other staff time. And that, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm
You can
not-
set an RFP for 15 days if you want to. I mean, it's just, you're not gonna get as many people. I mean, if you had an RFP for 6 months, you'd have a lot more people possibly getting.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can set whatever timeline we want. If we already know one, and there's one other one.
There's a limited
Even
amount
if
of
you
these
just have,
companies
even
that
if you just
exist.
have to bid from one, then we know what it is. Even if you need to do a competitive bid. I mean, let them give us a number, then we can say, I mean, you do an RFP to get the best bid possible, obviously.
Mhm.
If we're just looking for a pretty quick time, let them give us a number. I mean, if it doesn't cost us anything, then we know what that number is. And if there's 2, then we tell them, if you're interested, give us a number in 3 weeks. Or give us a number by Christmas.
Give us, if they're interested, they'll give us the number in a week.
Right, so.
So the one thing that may not be a known that we would be able to determine for comparison would be if we were to hire internally, we wouldn't know if the person was gonna take benefits or not.
You have to assume they are.
Yeah,
So we would assume
I would
that.
assume they are.
But that could make, just to say, that could make the whole difference in the world, that if they didn't, and they took the cash in lieu, opt out, that would likely shift the balance of the bid versus the hiring internally.
Yeah, but
Does that make
the
sense what I'm saying, or no?
Yeah, but the bid that whoever gives to you is going to assume the person's taking insurance too.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to give us a bid that puts them at risk that they're not getting enough money. So they're
Right.
gonna build that in too. So I think we should build it in, and then that'll be a
I mean,
great.
I guess whatever bid you see is gonna be higher. I mean, there's a reason we went away from it before.
Right.
So but I mean, you don't know until you have your bid. If it doesn't cost us anything, you get a number. I'm just giving a number.
And what I see as a possible issue is the fact that when we're exploring costs, there's so many unknowns when it comes to, like you said, oh, geez, that's right, we need snow removal. Or just the little things that Dan might have just taken care of where, who's gonna do this now? Well, there's extra costs, every single step of the way. So we don't know really what those costs may be.
Yeah, I saw the sheet, he was nice enough to give me the list of the duties prior. So I did see, it's a kind of a comprehensive list of, these are the things that our person would entail in doing, and these are things that are outside of the realm of what they would do. So, but there's always stuff that pops up, yes, and I'm sure there's some contingency plan built in where you just would pay, whatever
And
extra.
If we hire someone internally, did we sign just like a 1-year contract with like Carl's Landscaping?
The contract is hourly, it's just for this year, the contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could end that.
Well, I'll be honest with you, yeah, we could, if we hired someone now that was willing to do the snow removal, we can
Get out of it.
get out of the contract, because it's based upon hourly and usage.
Right.
So if we don't
just
use it,
call.
If we don't use it, we wouldn't call for it. So
Okay.
okay,
that's a good point.
I just don't want to, I want to make sure, I 100% support, and I think we need to move forward getting someone, and I would actually maybe, if it really is going to take 3 to 4 months to do that, I don't know that we can afford that kind of a timeline,
No.
because we're that's a long time for someone to continue to do something that is definitely not making it a great place to work every day by being overwhelmed by a number of people. Like, it's just not the best practice.
At this time, I think it's just a little bit of a distraction.
Yeah.
We need to get the show on the road.
Correct.
I guess also I would, the important thing is to have someone qualified. And
Correct.
if
I mean,
the
I would,
applicants that we already have are quality applicants, I think we'd be safe with going ahead and selecting from our pool.
and if not, then I would do this alongside so that you already
Yeah.
have this moving in case you don't have an applicant that accepts whatever we have to offer. You're not starting all over
Yes.
again. But I wouldn't hold it up. If you interviewed someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the person we should hire, I wouldn't hold up. I would move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I would
making
be
sure that we're
comfortable.
not continuing the other expenses that we put in place, then we have to back those up because we don't have money for both.
Yeah, and to be completely honest with you, like the thought of me doing this until the spring would probably
Yeah.
mean I would submit my retirement at next month's board meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not getting any younger.
When contracting with someone else, the sample list that you saw, would that particular employee of the external company be available for emergencies at nights and weekends?
Yeah, I didn't get that deep into it, but I would assume so, that's part of the duty is like, last night I had to come down at
Right.
1:00 because of a heat sensor alarm, like that's kind of given with that position is if the alarms go off, you come down and I would have to get, but I could go back and look at that.
It's really important.
And what you add to whatever you add, like it's like a la carte, you can add services, it's just gonna raise the bid. Like if we say, well, we want this added.
The truth is that Dan was hired under Dasher for quite a period of time before we actually ended up hiring him. In all of my time, his job did look different depending on who he was working for. So I don't think that it has to be a different amount of work. I think it's just who's going to do that. And again, if we don't have a quality candidate, I say we do both at the same time.
Yeah.
If you've interviewed a quality candidate, hire them and get them here.
Yes.
Mhm.
I would be comfortable with that. Give the board trust me to say that if we have a candidate that I feel would be a good fit in performing for the district, then we'll move forward with that. And if
Well, and
not, we'll-
I would actually even say that it's so critical that if you have a candidate, we could have a special board meeting to approve it for you, so that you're not waiting another month. Like, I think you need to get someone on board.
I would be okay with like getting into after Christmas break to make this happen, just because, there's a saying, I think it was Nick Saban's, hire slow, fire fast. So I don't want to rush through this, but I appreciate that, but I think that would be okay, because I would see the light at the end of the tunnel. But thinking about like May, just ages me in dog years, just even thinking about that, so. All right, and I will keep the board updated. My plan is, for these interviews, is to have stakeholders, so I had talked to Chief Minor about having him on. I was gonna talk to Chief Doerr, I didn't see him today. I'd like to have a board member on this or two. And then staff, I sent an email to staff asking for volunteers to be part of the committee, and then there will be administrators on it, and I'm hoping to get a couple community members. Because I feel like there's multiple views that could go into this for determining, so this wouldn't just be me determining if these are quality applicants. We'll go through the process similar to what we did with the administrators, not a community forum, but.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is you would actually have the interviews before Christmas or after Christmas?
My goal would be, like, I feel very comfortable right now that from the initial two people that I've spoken to, we have very quality applicants. Like,
Oh, fantastic.
that's
Fantastic.
my opinion is we have quality applicants. I feel comfortable maybe trying to set some up for next week.
Okay.
Before the short week, yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, sounds
Let's
good.
do it.
And again, if you need a board meeting quick,
Yes.
a half an hour board meeting or 15-minute board meeting early in the morning, just let us know.
I appreciate
Get
that.
Sounds good. Okay, item B is our student representatives update. Peyton and Emma.
Okay, to start off with the club fundraisers, we have HOSA They had a cookie dough fundraiser that just ended. They're expecting a large profit to go to upcoming fees. For FFA, fruit came in last week and was delivered, so that's all done now. For forensics, they had a butter braid fundraiser. They each had an individual goal of 17 butter braids, and most members met their goal, and that also ended last week.
Science Olympiad had an invitational competition last Saturday. The results are not in yet. I think shortly after I made this, I was told we were getting in, but I'm not sure what they are. And they did anticipate a high placement, and they went up against a lot of teams from Minnesota and Wisconsin that have placed high.
For Panther Press, the Panther Press went from an independent task between Lana Vollert and Olivia Moore to an actual class that just started this term. It has taken off, and the quality of the videos has grown, covering a wider variety of topics and allowing more people to be included. So every Friday, they show a video that a student made just to update the student body on what's going on in the school.
Can you do us a favor?
Yeah.
Can you embed a video next?
It
or
is,
next-
it is embedded. Would you like to see it?
Well,
How long is it?
I tried
It's
and
8 minutes.
Can we watch a part of
Can
it?
we watch just like 2 minutes of it or
Yeah.
something? I actually tried clicking on it and it didn't work
It didn't
for
work?
me, so,
Let's watch a
but,
couple of
I mean,
minutes.
it's probably scenario, so.
You gotta start it over, John, your first
I'm
one.
Anthony. Good morning, Panthers. I'm Anthony, your host for the morning.
And I'm Jackson. Today we will discuss many topics, including a deep dive into our very own coffee shop, a look at an activity in our leadership class, a preview for our wrestling season, and a recap for the start of the basketball season.
For our first story of the morning, we will have the senior Ellie Rayburn, who had the opportunity to immerse herself in the world of coffee with Mr. Laddick and his crew.
Immerse.
This is Ellie
She
reporting live from the
immersed
Panther
herself.
Press. Here we are today is the coffee cart where students go from door to door offering coffee and beverages to our staff and volunteers. A cup of coffee sounds great right about now, especially with this cold weather out here. But anyways, let's take a closer look at our students in action. Mr. Laddick, what would you say the coffee cart brings here to PHS?
Yeah, I would say the coffee cart on any given day we have 10 to 25 orders. For the students in the brew crew, it teaches them good life skills. You know, when they make the order, they have to count money. So the money skills is a big piece of it. Communication is a huge one. They get to communicate with all the staff members here and then students also. So overall, it's a great class for students to take. They're getting great life skills.
This is Ellie, once again reporting live from the Panther Press. Back to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Ellie. That seems like a good treat for PHS employees.
Our next story takes place in Ms. Meisner's leadership class. Here, students learn about active listening, not only in the classroom, but also in the real world.
Students are able to do this by participating in labs. Our top reporters, Junior Olivia Moore and Grace Hensel, are here to tell us more.
This is Grace and Olivia reporting live for the Panther Press. This week we had the opportunity to go into Ms. Meisner's leadership class to talk to students and Ms. Meisner about active listening. Students performed a lab with their eyes were closed where they learned the importance of your senses in active listening.
The goal is to really understand that communication happens in a lot of different ways. And obviously being a good active listener really ensures that the sender gets the message to the receiver.
Active listening is where you're listening with your whole body and you're not goofing off while the teacher or whoever's telling you information.
Eat the butterfly on the 4th of July at 5. A green fly ate a fly on the 4th of July. A green fly ate a fly on the 4th of July. A green flag on the 4th of July. A green flag on the 4th of July. Green flag. Green flag. Green flag for the July. A green flag on the 4th of July. A green flag on the 4th of July. A green flag on the 4th of July.
After a long game of telephone, Aiden writes what he thinks is the correct sentence. His guess is cook cream on the 4th of July. He took 1 minute to look at active listening.
Learn how to do good reading, how to do bad reading, what types of leaders we are currently.
I'm a lion.
What does that mean?
A lion, just a good leader in general. Pushes people to work harder.
This is Olivia. This is Grace, reporting from Panther Press. Back to you, Anthony.
We appreciate the
Are
insight.
these linked, Taylor? These are linked on the website?
They're on our PPT calendar, so we can link them.
Why don't we talk to Michael about having like a list of them on the website so that community members could access these? I think they're pretty neat. The kids are getting more and more creative.
And then I believe I talked to Mr. Jordan Ray, where he said that yearbook starts next term with the class, and he's gonna maybe have a yearbook, like half of the class work on making these videos during yearbook.
You know, I wanted to point out one thing about this, the importance of this, and kudos to Taylor and the kids that got this started, is, you know, we talk about interests that kids may have. You know, we added an autos program that hit a whole segment that kids had an interest in. We have, you know, video production or digital media was something that we just didn't have for those that are interested in that. And there are some kids that really have run with this and excelled through this process. So I kudos for trying new things and getting kids what they want.
And we'll give kudos to Jordan Rager too, because he took a little leap of faith, because he's not familiar with this and really has leaned on the students in his classroom to teach him new skills and with technology and with, you know, what is it called, CapCut? CapCut, yeah, they are phenomenal at it. So he's learning along with the students, and it's a really great experience, so.
I think it builds confidence with public speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, and we lack in that. I mean, not we, but like a
Yes.
lot of people, a lot of young people in general, just, it's tough for young people to get involved with public speaking. I remember I had a hard time with it when I was younger. So this is great to see.
Okay, so the 5th through 12th band and choir concert is tonight, happening right now. And then the K through 4 holiday program is this Wednesday at 6.
Next Monday.
Monday?
Next Monday.
Yep, week from today.
I thought it said-
That's a week from today. Trust us.
That's my bad.
Could you please refresh this one?
Okay.
It's not, could you refresh it, please? Thank you.
It's probably a PDF.
Yeah. Just speak.
Do you know to change it? Do you know what it is?
I can use my phone quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Because once it's been converted.
Yeah. Okay. So results from our Black River Falls Wrestling Tournament this past Saturday. For Aiden Fedorowicz at the 138 weight class, he took 6th place. For Cash Osterman at the 144 weight class, he took 5th place. Peyton Lee at the 150 weight class, 7th place. Zach Roberts, 165, took 6th place. Jackson Dewar, 215, 2nd place. I have some extra names up there you guys might see, but their placements were not posted.
You just don't want to read your brother's name.
So for our next meets and tournaments, we have a meet this week, Thursday, December 11th at home. And then following that Saturday on the 13th, we are at Toma for a tournament there. Then the Thursday after that, we are at another meet at Windberg. And then we have 2 tournaments in a row. That Friday at Stanley Boyd, and then we have a 2-day tournament at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh.
So basketball season, they just started having games. The last boys game was home against Rochelle last Friday or Thursday, right? Yeah, sorry. And they won 65-56. The next game is on the 9th, home against Iowa Scandinavia. The last girls' basketball game was away versus Rochholt, with winning 65-12. And the girls played the Cranberry Classic over Thanksgiving. They had a tough loss against Columbus, 47-52, but won against Nakusa, 67-31. And the next game is on the 12th at home against Alma Bancroft. And I believe that's all we have.
Thank you, Yelsey.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is, item C, board goals update. Jason and I met recently about this. We were going to have 3 goals for the coming school year. One was going to be related to, looking at enrollment and markers related to the financial aspects of that.
Both enrollment and open enrollment.
And open enrollment, right. It's difficult to gather the data. It's very time consuming to gather the data for that. And another goal was going to be related to the buildings.
Student achievement.
Student achievement and the buildings goals. And then another one was going to be related to communication. Because we're almost halfway through the school year, it didn't look like 2 of the goals were going to be able to be written. So Jason and I talked about just moving forward with the one goal related to communication. And that is not linked in here.
The thought, if I may, the thought was that the student achievement, obviously the building goals are related to student achievement. So we have goals that are working that. Was trying to decide like what would the board role in that be, like differing from what we do in the buildings as far as student achievement. And then when talking about the enrollment, very difficult to project what those numbers might look like or the financial impact, because we don't know after the biennium budget what the numbers would look like. What we did talk about is with the one goal that we have, the communication goal, that's kind of encompassing all of those things. If we work on the communication piece, we're going to increase open enrollment we continue to communicate about the good things that we do. We're going to increase enrollment, potentially, like that kind of fits with let's do this and do it well and focus on that communication component.
For the rest of the school.
For the rest of the school year.
Yeah.
Do one and do it right.
And there was a draft of that goal. But what we can do is follow up after the meeting and send it to all the board members.
Yep.
It had to do with utilizing continuing to utilize internal communication tools like the Facebook
Can I read
page.
it? I have it.
Oh, you have it. Wonderful.
Yep.
Yes, please read it.
So the goal would be foster Panther pride among community and alumni and promote partnerships to inform and engage target groups, with the objectives being to implement and document a minimum of one new technique focused on alumni engagement, establish and document a minimum of one new partnership with area media, explore strategies to cost effectively upgrade the district's website to promote Pittsville as, quote, the small school district of choice in central Wisconsin, quote. So we felt like this kind of encompasses what really is going to drive those other components, like the open enrollment and enrollment. Let's do a better job. And I think we do a decent job. Let's do a better job of marketing ourselves outside of the Pittsville community with those great things. One example would be the alumni thing, and I mentioned this to Marianne last week. I saw a school district in southern Wisconsin posted a alumni spotlight, and it was just one of their graduates who had achieved some goal at work, right? Like a certification. They posted former, Spartan, and they had a little write-up about them, and we thought, like, that'd be a great way to reach out, like, send out something to our alumni and have them submit, like, what are the great things that are going on with alumni, and then do a focus on an alumni spotlight every month for some of our, we have a lot of very prestigious Pittsville grads that are out in the world doing wonderful things, and just focus on that is a way to make that connection stronger between our alumni and our, the school and the community, so.
The thing is, there's surrounding schools that may be closing. And there's gonna be a lot of parents looking at different options. what's the first thing they're gonna do? They're gonna Google a school district, they're gonna go to their webpage. And what do we have there to present to them, right in front of their face at that time? What can we do to make certain that we catch their attention right away? That's what we need to stay.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. And the alumni engagement, I think by engaging with some already existing entities out there, I think we can do a better job of, really touting the success of our school, and also maybe generate, pique people's interest in legacy gifts or one-time donations to the school district, and move further ahead on the goal we had from last year of establishing some type of charitable giving foundation.
We'll send a draft to this.
That would be great. And if folks would like to, in addition to that draft, I mean, we've got the goal, we've got 3 objectives, but if folks would like to edit it or to throw in any steps related to each of the objectives, that would be welcome. And then we can bring it back at the January meeting.
Sounds good. Sent to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item D is the alternate grading. Danny.
Yeah, something that resulted from this first quarter was students with unique learning needs, especially at our intermediate level, just wanting to get teachers and special education teachers, admin, everybody on the same page. What does it look like for grading moving forward for students who maybe have alternate grading, or they follow the essential elements, which are the alternate standards. They may have difficulties participating in class, and so getting a grade is not as possible. But this is a way of everybody on the same page of what is expected for communicating what the student does know according to a grade, progress report grade. And these are for students who typically have IEPs. And then it's just verbiage laying out very clearly what the expectation is. It's not policy, it's just more of an informational link for you guys of some of the things that we have in the works for making sure that it's very clear what it looks like in Skyward and whose responsibility it is between case managers and general education teachers. There was just a lot of confusion, and as needs continue to grow, we just realized that there needed to be a streamlined process, and so hence the document and getting everybody on the same page. So our BLTs have seen it, some have communicated, many have communicated out with other teachers. We've been able to share this with some parents who have students who experience this firsthand, where this is applicable to their child, and they welcomed this. So it's good to get parent input too.
What I really like about it is the consistency, right? It varied from teacher to teacher, case manager to case manager, how this was done. This sets a consistent process for families and students and teachers.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from teachers?
Just thank you.
Okay.
Teachers like rules. Teachers like having guidelines.
Like having access to this, so like between buildings, like they have not have access to it, or even, just some other things with grading of like open comments instead of like picking up canned comment, so just getting that consistency back amongst the teachers has been very positive feedback that I've received from this as well.
No, I know teachers, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which building, the changing of the comments. So prior, there were canned comments, you could only pick from, so that's been changed. It was brought to our attention by teachers, like, why can't we type our own comments in? And that was changed to allow for that, because certainly, parents, if you have multiple kids and you get the same student, is a pleasure, right? I did that for my kids, no, they're certainly not, right? It's like, you had to pick something, right? So they really appreciate that. Teachers like being able to put a personalized comment for each student.
I should ask the question. Does this impact at all what would be considered passing the class to get credit to be able to graduate? So the fact that you're getting an A, B, C, or you're getting a S or U, does that change?
Yep, so students who have that setting in their IEP, it would be, we just had an IEP recently where the student now has a pass-fail for English, for example. Their English that they get for direct instruction English counts as a credit towards their graduation as well. So we're really focusing on what does that student need, and college-wise, I mean, Marissa and I were talking and what that looks like for students at the high school level. This doesn't change anything that's already been done, other than really communicating what needs to be in place.
Perfect, so a P is the same as
Which
passing for the
Which
purpose
pass-
of getting credit.
Pass-fail, we actually changed it. Now, Karen Grails, if you're listening to this, we're gonna have you change it.
She's
Okay. To satisfactory and unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
Even though unsatisfactory is a negative connotation, it's actually more positive fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it symbolizes in the grade book, if you have a U or an S versus an F or a P, well, F could be fail, as in you received an F for that class, or F as in you failed because you didn't meet the standards due to refusal, due to participation, due to whatever it may be.
And Danny, and to the board, the question that was often posed to me by, parents and teachers through my years as an administrator was, can a student with an IEP fail a class? And my answer was absolutely. If they're given all the accommodations that are required for their IEP and they still don't do the work set, absolutely they can fail. But the key is they have to receive those accommodations for their disability-related needs.
And they also have students who have significant cognitive disabilities who are technically working on the essential elements and their report card says A across the board. So we're just trying to make it so it really paints a picture as accurate as possible. Students in IEP, what does it look like? Are we based off of their IEP goals? That would be signaled in the grade book too. Just so that we're always working to level the playing field, right? My goal is to help bring justice across the whole system. But also if we have a student who's working their butt off to get an A without any accommodations, and we have a student who is working on the essential elements, that needs to be noted. And so just making sure that everybody's aware of what it looks like. Is it based on modified curriculum? If it's not, then it's not, but if it is, that should be noted, so that's very clear.
Well, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of confusing, intricate
Yes.
little pieces with
Yes.
every individual student.
Yes. It is case by case basis, and so it comes down to the IEP, and in the IEP, it'll say narrative or alternate grading. And just because it has that in the IEP, does not mean that that's what it is set in stone. You could have a grade because you have sufficient paperwork or assignments turned in to get that grade for first quarter, but then the second quarter comes around, it's a rough quarter, whatever's going on, the student's not in class often, there's refusal. You can tap into that narrative grading for the teacher to be able to say, student was in class 30% of the days of second quarter. They demonstrated competency with X, Y, and Z standards. It paints a better picture. Honestly, it lends itself to the discussion in general about standards-based grading. You don't have to switch to their grade below because you're able to break down each standard and where they're at with each standard. And no matter where they are in the school year, if it's first quarter that they met competency or it's fourth quarter and they met competency for that standard, it's clear, it's not so subjective as other grading.
My soapbox for standards-based grading is if a student gets a 59% in a class, they fail. If they get a 60%, they pass. And if I were a parent asking, well, my kid got a 59, what 41% of the curriculum do they not know? So I can help them with that. Right, it's hard to explain that. If you have the standards, like here are the 7 essential standards for this class that kids need to show competency in, they can tell me, your daughter is competencies 5 and 7 are the ones they need to work on. So then we actually can target where the help needs to be, rather than just be, okay, what does that mean? 40. So if they get 2% more, they pass and they get a credit, and 2% less. So, but that's for a future date. But that ties right into that standards-based grading.
I think the things are happening in the district with standards-based as far as like assessments go that are tied to standards, and you can tell what numbers on assessments are what standard, and so you can modify a test for a student, especially needs, say, like they have emotional behavioral difficulties in class, do they need to exhibit something 5 times, or can you look at the standard, they got it one time, they showed competency, we can move on, and that's how you modify it appropriately. That makes sense.
And thinking about the workplace, like for those of you in the private sector, in your places of work, like Nate, how do they do competency-based performance at your workplace? Like, are you given a percent each month, or do they give you like, here's your targets, and these are, like, I hope you get evaluated, right?
Yeah, well.
You're looking at me.
Yeah, well, it's subjective, but it's also based on results.
Results,
Around,
right?
Yeah, how much money.
So you have tasks in your job that you need to complete, and if you complete those tasks, you obviously get a good performance review. So this ties more in line with the real world, right? It's like, you got stuff you gotta get done, you need to do it, you need to do an effective job and show competency in these different areas.
And those explanations, they go a long ways, because as a parent, you know, you see that your child's struggling and you've been trying to help all over, whatever the case may be, and you see, well, here's a letter to, you know, pass or whatever, and no explanation. And just even a sentence or 2 words like, oh, so they're seeing what I'm seeing, or just whatever the case may be.
You know, a concrete example of that, Chris, might be in like in English class. You know, if I'm told that right now, like, your daughter is struggling with analyzing text, that helps me. So they're a good reader, but they're having trouble with reading that text and analyzing it and breaking it down, right? So those are specific skills that I know then, when the teacher is able to focus on those skills with their students in their class, when you can see those specific strands to focus on. But absolutely, your point is, a lot of times parents want to help their students at home, right? And the teachers want, but without knowing, it's like, you know, that it's so broad, it's hard to help with specific things. So it's exciting. We do have up till 3rd grade, we do standards-based grading here. The 3rd grade, up till 3rd grade, the report cards are proficiency standards-based already. Then we stop doing that after that and go to the lower grades. So, and the parents for the lower levels appreciate that breakdown of the report card. I think parents of the older kids would appreciate it just as much. So, thank you,
Any
Jamie.
other questions for Danny?
Okay. Send me an
Sounds
And
good.
Danny, I want to make one more point, because this is important. Danny, just to be clear, let's say a student had an injury that required surgery and they were out for an extended period of time. This alternate grading would not only be restricted to students with IEPs, this could be utilized for any students who may be medically, you know, they're, God forbid, they're in a hospital for an extended
That's
stay or
something we could
something.
actually add on here, because I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, do teachers widely use or have they used no count in Skyward? Do
I
you
would
know?
say, yes, there's been a significant sickness, or,
Mhm.
you know, they had pneumonia and they couldn't come to school with doctors, no, we just no counted some assignments.
I think it'd be nice if everybody on the same page too, for an instance like that.
I would really, if we have it, I think that's something we could add to just account for, so it shouldn't be restricted to just, like, there's a lot of times that students may need accommodations for alternate grading and based upon experiences or what's going on. So, just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to agenda item number 10, which is discussion action items. And item A is the school report card.
Thank you for your invitation, Chris.
Welcome, Chris.
So I'm Chris Fetcher, I'm from CISA 5. One of my job titles there, as you were talking earlier about duties as assigned, is the data specialist coming out of there. So I talk about not only school report cards, but your joint federal notification packets and all those kinds of nitty-gritty policy things coming out of both our state and federal government that require to report on school districts. Most recently, report cards have come out and been made public. And so now is the time that we need to inform you, the board members here, about that report card that then also needs to be made available to your public. Go ahead. So I'm going to go over a little bit of background, talk about kind of what is new this year is a big one. I will show you the report card focusing primarily on your district report card on your system from K to 12. Give you a better idea. There are individual school report cards, but the samples that are in here are district, and you can pull up on the DPI website the school ones as well. And then there's just a few things to think about at the end. any questions you have, some reflection ideas for the board if you're interested in digging a little deeper, really thinking about what it means. So basically, the kind of overall layout of the report card has not changed in the last few years. We get an overall score, we get some basic school information about your school, we get a demographic data, which is important, and I'll explain why. You get a statement from your school, which your school has submitted, so there is an optional statement in yours that you'll see in a little bit. And then the overall score is made up of 4 areas, and so we'll see those individual scores on there as well as they give us some informational pieces for you to just kind of be informed, compare yourself to the state, and those deal with course and programs, so our post-secondary and our arts education primarily in there. And then the new ones are our 3rd grade reading and the law violations, which I'll speak to a little bit more when we dig into that. The one big thing to remember is report card scoring. Report card scoring is really heavily weighted, well, it is weighted, based on your economically disadvantaged. So your school district might not have the same distribution of that weight, of that averaging, as the neighboring school districts. If their economically disadvantage is higher, then their report card is going to weigh more heavily on the growth. If their economically disadvantage is lower, it's going to weigh more on the achievement of students. So just keep that in mind when you're kind of thinking. It's not always bad to know, and sometimes you are going to come pretty close to neighboring communities, and so you'll be able to look. But also know that, like, as your economically disadvantaged changes in your own community through things like business closings or, heaven forbid, natural disasters that come through and cause problems with families, that could swing from year to year as well for you. So always knowing that comparing last year to this year might not be equivalent either. Okay. All right, so new this year is they have given some updates to the achievement-based scoring. So the achievement-based scoring in the past has been based on 3 years. This year it's based on 2 years because 2 years ago, before the, it's like 2.5 now. The last 2 years are finally on the same benchmarks coming out of our state tests. They updated the benchmarks for the 4 exam. And so you couldn't compare achievement to achievement once you change those benchmarks for students. We now have 2 years on that, so we have 2 years of data to put into that achievement scoring. Next year, we will go back to the 3 years of achievement scoring. Even though we have just 2 years, it is still a weighted average, so your most recent year is the more heavily calculated into that achievement, but it does impact because it's just a 2 years, so it's more of a 50-50 than in the past of that kind of third piece. Test participation. Test participation has been all over the board in my 11 years at CISA. It's been all sorts of places and done all sorts of things. Most recently, what they've decided is to put it back on the front so people know. There used to be at one point in time automatic penalties for missing test participation. They're not doing that anymore, but do know that it impacts your score. For example, if you are below 95% of students participating in the state tests, they do add zeros into your score to eventually calculate it out. So that's why that flag is coming back to the front page. It would be right next to your score summary if you have that. You would be flagged, so kind of just watch for that. That might also be something to know if you're looking at a neighboring school district, right? Like, what is their participation? Because somebody mentioned about kids coming open enrollment. If you have families coming over who are not used to taking the test because their school district is not taking it, you're gonna have to work harder with that communication to make sure that you stay having those kids take the test here. The new statutory requirement, as I said, they now do itemized 3rd grade reading. It's basically your proficient and advanced students together. That percentage is reported and it's compared to the state. And then we have the law violations that have happened, basically citations that are issued on school grounds is what that's referring to, and how many per high school, 100 students in high school is what it is.
Chris, on that point, my understanding is if an adult was cited at like a basketball game for disorderly conduct, that would count in that data for the school district. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so we have lots of schools who have parents who have been issued vaping tickets on school grounds because they go in the bathrooms and vape, and those have to be counted.
Okay.
Yep. Also, the updated rating, the category scores. So a few years ago, we did the forward kind of updated ratings. We've now done that with report card now that the achievement has been updated, and that we've also, the one that's kind of embedded in here that's not explicitly changed is they talked about norming. And I will show you a piece in that, with the update of the norming they've done to make sure that something doesn't outweigh another, they decided it's time to redo the scores. I will tell you the score ranges changed by like 1 point. One case it's 2 points, but everything else is kind of a 1 point swing. So they're not wildly different than they've been in the past. Just know that if you see something, it's like I think it's like a 69 on one and a 69.5 on another, they might read slightly different. Okay. I do have a link in there if you want to dig in further, trying to keep this high level and not go to the weeds because, you know, I'm a mathy person that likes those things, but I try not to do that for you. Okay, the next one. Here is an example of that test participation that you can see what it would look like. Like I said, it sits right below your stars. So these have 2 examples of the stars in there as well. You don't have that on your district report card, but just in case you know what to look for or somebody mentions it, like, do you have that? Now you know where to look. Okay. Go to the next one. 3rd grade reading. This is a sample. We'll get to yours in a little bit. This is found on page 7. When you print out the big report card, it literally is just this strip on the bottom of the page. This is part of Act 20, and I wanted to just take a moment to point that out because as you've been probably hearing about the capacity building you've had to do for staff in that area, this is a carryover of that as well. I don't know if eventually we'll be having to put a math score up there as well. I can't tell you that one yet.
Chris, could you briefly talk to the board about, so that math score would likely be 8th grade math? Yes.
Yep, because the
3rd
law,
grade reading and 8th grade math.
the laws that are proposed right now at the state level are through 8th grade. So we're not just screening kindergarten through 3rd grade, we'd be screening all the way up to 8th grade for math. That's the,
You said that's on page 7?
Yep.
Okay.
The big packet.
Of the big packet,
The
yeah.
big report
yeah, and
packet.
I have yours in here in a little bit.
Sure.
Those are benchmarks, board members, the 3rd grade reading and 8th grade math are benchmarks that if kids are achieving at that point, it's typically an indicator of future success, is why those 2 are specifically measured.
Okay, go to the next one. This is what the law violation looks like. Once again, we can look at yours. That is found on the last page, on page 11. It's only going to be produced on your district report card and your high school report card. It is not put into the elementary or middle. If for some point in time you split middle and high, it would just be on the high school. So basically, it has to be a school district, a school that houses those high school grades. So alternate high schools also will have it reported. Okay. All right, go to the next one. And then this now is your report cards. So that's a big overview to get you there. So now I'll actually talk about your numbers. So this is your overall report card. Okay, you can see your overall score shows that you exceed expectations. Your economically disadvantaged at 41.4 puts you slightly into looking at growth more. The swing point of it being 50-50 is 35%. So you're just over that, so you get a little more weight on growth, but you're not that far off. It goes all the way up. I've seen report cards that they swing so far as to have 8% on their achievement or 8% on their growth. So you can imagine what that swing is like. So yours is pretty even. in terms of being 25, 25, 25. So your weighted average is pretty kind of run of the mill, I would say. You can see the 4 scores there. So your achievement, your growth, your target groups, and your on track. Your overall scores for each of those are inside the circles. Okay. The bars next to that are showing most often are showing your district compared to the state average, except for the target groups. You see that one, and I'll explain that one in a minute. So basically, when we look at that, you're above in both subject areas for ELA and math in terms of achievement. Your growth for ELA is a little bit down, but your math is up. Keep in mind, growth for those 2 areas is the state average is always 66%, so you can see that. We'll talk about that one, why that is in a minute. Target groups, the reason this achievement looks different than the one before.
You touch the TV, can't touch it.
Don't touch.
Don't touch.
The reason it's different is because that target group is the bottom 25% of your students. So if we take your students and kind of rank them by their scores from last year, the bottom 25% is what we put in that target group to see how the system is working for our most struggling learners. Okay. Also shows you their growth. Their growth is not, it's a little bit lower, but it's not actually the nervousness I see of it being wildly under, okay? And then you can see their absenteeism and their graduation. They're still graduating. The absenteeism is probably the one that's killing their growth a little bit.
Yeah.
In there. And then the last one is that on track to graduation. Those are those benchmarks we look at for how kids are going to be career college ready when they leave. So once again, absenteeism, graduation rate is calculated on 4 and 7 years, 3rd grade English, and 8th grade math. And that's why the proposed 8th grade bill is going to be screening all the way up through 8th grade. I'm going to give you just a minute to look at that. Ask any questions on that page before we jump into a little more detail on those 4 areas.
So 3rd grade reading, does that mean that 67.7% of our kids can read at the 3rd grade level?
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of 3rd grade, the end of 3rd grade?
At the time they take the 3rd grade 4 exam. So at the end of their 3rd grade year, they're either reading or advanced. That's those 2 averages kind of together.
It's a few months, once the forward dates, the spring.
Usually the end of March, first part of April.
Yeah, so there's still a few months of school to that point, right? Like there's still 8 weeks of learning that happens after that, but that is where that takes place. So, and it's consistent across for all districts.
Under the target group outcomes, I'm looking right now at chronic absenteeism. What does that score mean? 86?
So chronic absenteeism is the calculation of your students who attend, who are not absent more than 10%. So if you think 10%, think of, you have 180 school days, that means that they're not absent more than 18 days. Once they're absent longer than that, they're considered chronically absent. They take the number of kids or the percentage of kids who are chronically absent and basically subtract it. So you want that number closer to 100, and that would mean more of your students are not chronically absent, is really what it reads funny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes, it reads funny. Because I looked at it as, 86% of kids are chronically absent.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they need to put a not in there.
Yeah. Not chronic absent. Okay. Okay.
Any questions on that? I'm not gonna touch it anymore, so. All right, so achievement, this page, it gives you the priority score at the top again that you see from the front page. The next bar graph between it shows you kind of where they fall, and you can read right in the text right above it that you are higher than 57.6% of the districts in the state, okay, in terms of your achievement. It does then show you the 2 years that go into the calculation at the very bottom. So next year there'll be a third bar on there. And then what it does is the information only piece in the center gives you a breakdown demographically for what your students look like. If you have less than 20 students in a demographic area, it is not reported on here to keep their information private, okay? So therefore you may have a group 1 year, you might have English learners 1 year, and then a family moves and now you're down to 19, so you're not gonna have it, right? So that will be one thing to note, is those bars could be different in there, and they're also based on their demographics isolated. So a student could be counted more than once in those bars in the middle, so don't worry about like adding them up and stuff, because you're gonna count students more than once. But it just kind of gives you an idea of how are the different groups performing in the district. And if you want to get that kind of deeper, that's definitely, those bars are helpful at the school level so that you can kind of see what's. Okay. All right. So what I've done in here is just to help you kind of see what they're kind of talking about a little bit in those bar graphs up above, is instead of just looking at the charts, adding those top two groups together. And so you can see the median and advanced for ELA and math across the district between 2024, which is the oldest year, and the year ending in 25, which is our most recent year for these report cards, and the percent change. And then next year you'll have a third year on there and you can track what that change is as well. It's essentially kind of what they're doing for those bars up above, but this is done for the whole district. Okay.
And to clarify, Chris, that's third through 11th grade. Technically, the data is collected because below third grade, our kids do not take any testing. So it's our third through 11th graders, nor do our seniors.
Yes. And they're full academic year students. So the student has to have been here from the third Friday in September all the way through the testing window for them to count. So they've gotten that full year of instruction before, well, full year of instruction before that test, 8 weeks before the end of the year. Yeah. Okay. And then just to also, so you can see, like I said, I didn't print off the building report cards, but just so you can see kind of across the board how it breaks down, I did provide a little chart showing you the achievement scores for each of the buildings and the district, so you can kind of see where those fall. Growth. This is the one I said that the state average is always 66%. And the reason that is because it's scored based on what's something called value add. So they take a student, they look at the demographics, they find all the other students who have the similar demographics in the state, including test score, starting test score, and they say, okay, in this group, what's kind of the average growth that kids made? And then an individual student who grew more than that average or less than that average, that's what impacts your score. So looking on this page, you see two big bars down the center, or kind of down the columns. Those are the state average. So in value add, it's a 0 to 6 kind of points that you get. And 3 is the average growth. So if a student grew more than 3 points, you would get more points towards your growth score. If they grew less than 3 points, then you would get kind of deducted from your growth score. Once again, because it's all demographically based and a student is calculated once in your growth score based on all of their demographics, what they are doing here is trying to help you determine what might be the impact based on those things. So a student could be counted in multiples of these groups. I can be an English learner as well as somebody in the economically disadvantaged group. So I might be twice down in these strips. So you can't just like add them up to figure out where you're at. Okay?
And Chris, the value in this would be maybe looking to see if there is a particular student group that maybe we're under supporting as far as their underperformance. So I mean, looking at those, they're pretty consistent across the board, both of them. I mean, we want to see our ELA pro scores increase, but there isn't a group that lags far behind as far as where we're not supporting in a particular student group.
And to me, the ELA ones right now are a little hard to interpret, especially, you know, our third grade. We have the Act 20 that went up to third grade, and we have many districts across the state who took that up and decided to go, if we're gonna change materials or get new materials K-3, we're gonna go all the way up to fifth grade. And so for a lot of districts, we're seeing implementation dip. What that means is you have staff that are working hard to learn new material and learn all the
Intricacies.
Thank you.
Yes.
All of that material and knowing what are the highlights of each of those lessons. And until you do that for 3 years, there's an implementation dip while the teacher hones their craft and can bring that to the students. And so we're seeing kind of wild fluctuations, I'd say right now in ELA is what I'm seeing. Like I've seen lots of districts that are like, ELA scores were great last year, now they're in the barrel. Yes, Act 20, while it's eventually supposed to help, there are gonna be some learning years along this way.
Well, similar to Bridges math, Leslie, I know you and I argued it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like it was 4 years ago it was implemented here, but we saw it, we can see our math scores are starting to show.
And you'll probably see, like, once we implement the math and have to do something 6th through 8th grade, which Bridges doesn't cover all the way up through 8th grade, right? Like, you probably might see a dip there too. So, this one's hard, I think, just because it does give you information if there's a group that is struggling more than others significantly, but it's also a moving target, right? Like, the surrounding, you know, the rest of the state could really knock it out of the park one year, and it doesn't mean you guys are doing anything wrong. It just means all of a sudden there's a light bulb across the state that didn't hit your district. Well, guess what? The next year it'll probably hit your district and you go through the growth of growth. So it's hard kind of with that. Just know that, like, if you don't have wild fluctuations down here, that means that there is a system that's kind of working. It's when I have wild fluctuations between the demographic groups down here, then I start to worry, because then I start to think, okay, there's something not happening for kids in a certain area, and why is that? All right, we can go to the next one. Same thing, I wanted to make sure, because even though I didn't have examples of elementary and high school, I did print off your growth. As you can see, it is very close. Your growth scores are very close across the board. And typically, your growth scores are higher at elementary than they are at high school, so I would imagine that we will see that kind of bounce back as well too. Next one. Target groups, this is your bottom 25%. On this page, they give you that corresponding bar, but instead of it being the state, it's the non-target group. So it's the other 75% of your district. So you can kind of just compare what they're doing. Yes, we know achievement's going to be lower. It's your most struggling to learn students. But if you look at whether they're growing the same as the rest of their peers, they're graduating and they're attending, those would be kind of the areas to give you some access points to how to increase that achievement. One thing to highlight with this is it is your bottom 25%, but your bottom 25% is higher than 60% of the districts in the state. So there's a lot lower bottom 25s around the state. That's the way you take it. Yeah. Okay.
When you say this, when you compare other schools, is that all schools or just schools similar to us?
everybody has a bottom 25%, but no, when they do that, if you go back one, when they do that piece up here, this is all districts in the state, regardless of size.
Public schools only,
Yeah,
private
Yes.
schools are not schools,
Yeah.
do not get
good
any
point,
grants.
yes. And then there's gonna be a few that have like alternate, a few schools not in there that are alternate, like we have elementary schools that are K2. They don't have they don't have achievement scores.
No.
Right? We have, alternate high schools that are just designed for 11th and 12th graders for credit recovery. They don't have 20%, they don't have 20 kids taking the 11th grade test, so they get an alternate piece.
Yeah.
But everybody who's on the standard scoring, so approximately 400 school districts, probably give or take. All right, I also divided this up so you can see the comparison. For, once again, they're really tight. There's not, like, I don't have concern that like, there's something happening not in one building or the other, they're very close together. Okay. On track to graduation, this one's gonna fluctuate on your buildings, just so you know. Your elementary and your district report cards are the only two that are gonna have 3rd grade reading. Your high school report card is going to have the 8th grade math and graduation. So therefore, elementary, because you don't have 8th grade, you have 3rd grade, you do have English, the ELA, and you do have absenteeism. What they replace graduation with is the state attendance. So you get kind of 2 attendances. Chronic absenteeism is 10%. That's the federal definition. Our state definition is 10 days. So it's a much tighter attendance, but we also count whole and half days, whereas the federal counts theirs slightly different. Theirs is more just a straight minutes calculation. So a kid who's gone for 30 minutes to leave early or to come late because they were at a doctor's appointment does not get docked in any way, shape, or form at the state, but those minutes do count against them towards chronic absenteeism. So if they have a lot of those, they could potentially fall into chronic absenteeism without actually being docked at the state level. But that would be like a half a day, a half a period, or 30 minutes late every day all school year long kind of thing we're talking. Okay. So just kind of keep those in mind when you look to on track to graduation across the board, that they are slightly different. Both the 3rd grade and 8th grade are multi-year averages, they're not. So that is one thing to kind of point out before I show you the other 3rd grade. This is going to be based on the 2 years, and next year it'll be the 3 years average of just like the other achievement. The 3rd grade kind of piece that's just stamped on there, that is 1 year. That is the 3rd grade for that year. It is not a yearly average, so that's the big difference there. And the graduation rate does include 4 and 7 year averages. So it's a little convoluted how 7 year calculates in there, but it does. Basically, like, because it's a multi-year, because it's like that average in there, like you get credit eventually for those kids who graduate within 7 years, but it takes a while for you to see it, honestly, because the first snapshot is at 4 years. All right, next one. So these are, now we're getting into the unscored areas. This is that post-secondary preparation piece, talking about students graduating career and college ready. So obviously the advanced courses, the dual enrollment, that talks to us about career or college ready. But then we have our IRCs and our work-based learning, which talks to our career ready. And so looking at both of those, all of those areas, I would say you're well on track. You can't have everything. You can't do all 4 areas, given that you do have to be efficient with funds and not have, you have a limited number of staff, and you have to do it based on what the staff have capacity for as well. But having 3 of those numbers above the state average is what I see as a good report. You can get some more information down below for the breakdown. Once again, it's not in a nice bar graph, but the percentages are on there for digging in. Okay, and then the next one. The arts course information. Yeah, dance and theater. I tell people to kind of ignore those. Those basically come out of some performing arts high schools in Milwaukee and Madison area. So look at art and design and look at music and see where you're at. Now, once again, it's based on staff capacity, right? What you have the availability for. There was a concert going on when I walked in. I know there is a music program happening here, right? I could hear it clearly. I didn't hear a lot of squeaking. So there's stuff happening, right? But it's, once again, you have to be thoughtful about what you have. This is a high school grades only. That's the other thing I want to point out. So this doesn't count like the 6th graders that have to take music per the statute until 6th grade. It doesn't count your 7th and 8th graders who opted, right? That kind of thing. So, all right, next one. So this is the 3rd grade reading, okay? This is a 1-year snapshot. So this would be the 3rd graders from last year who are your current 4th graders. At the time that they took the test, 52.4% of them were proficient or advanced on that particular assessment. Now, that doesn't mean your teachers don't think they are more, but that particular day they took the test, that's how many of them performed that way. And then next one. And then here is that law violations piece. So there's 2 different numbers. The top is like this total number of all, and then they have these categories. And so this is a subset of the top number, basically. So I've been telling people, look at the top number. You had approximately per 100 students enrolled, you had about 2.3. So somebody brought something on school grounds to a football game we shouldn't have. And they got collared by the cop who came to watch the football game. That's where I was.
Chris, the thing I struggle with on this one is that some districts are more about enforcement than others. Is that I think some districts may turn a blind eye to behaviors that they don't want to deal with. And so I almost feel like it's actually encouraging districts to not call the police for illegal activities. I mean, that's my 2 cents. Now, we wouldn't do that here. If it warrants police contact, we're going to do that, right? But
and it also depends. I find it very interesting that statewide it's 1.3. I mean, like, really? I mean, we're a pretty mild district that doesn't, I mean, like, I'm like, we're above the district in like that. Yeah. When I mean, there's districts that like, you gotta go through metal detectors to even get in. Like, it just feels like that's odd to me. Like, that's real odd.
It is dependent on districts reporting it, and there is no like push from WISE. It's a separate data collection. So there's lots of.
Oh, so in other words, we could actually even have the citation, but just not report it.
That's correct.
I'm sure there's several districts out there that.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sure that there's several districts out there who have 0.
And I am
So
familiar.
they must, because it's 1.3.
Yeah.
And
but have a 0 and don't really have a 0.
I am familiar with districts that I can tell you, I've heard firsthand from administrators, they have a policy, they do not contact the police for things here that would be a no-brainer that we contact the police for, that they are told that we do not bring the police into the school unless it is like, you know, an assault or something like that. So I know that for a fact when talking to other administrators, like, what do you contact the police for? So yeah, it's.
And I'm certain that they have way more issues and incidents than what we have.
That would be accurate.
I mean,
I'm not trying to make excuses, that's just really.
I mean, I don't think 2.3 looks bad. Right. I think it looks real.
Yeah.
I just think 1.3
I call hogwash on
1.3 like average is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I know, like, in some schools, like the one that my kids go to school with, there are cops who attend every Friday night football, and they don't wait for administration to say, I caught this person violating the law on your property. They just go ahead and do it because they are there. That's the size, I mean, my kid goes to a high school with 1,000 kids. Yeah, they need to have them there with 1,000 kids and then their parents involved. So yeah.
You could also have a single student with 7 violations, like, you know.
Or a single parent.
Yeah,
It doesn't
or
even
parent.
have to be a student.
Yeah.
These can be violations given to parents, given to community members.
But only if they're reported.
Correct. Self-reported.
Right, I mean, this is the problem.
Yes.
This isn't about actually even gathering it from the people doing it.
Yeah.
Got it, thanks.
Could also be during the summer.
Sure. So in the past, I have a question. In the past, we've gotten a slide, and maybe it's coming yet, that just compares us to the other districts that are like
Yes.
in our,
That was, I did that, and I'm working on it.
okay.
Unfortunately, boilers and other things have taken over priority for me right now, so
Sure.
I'm actually working on it because I want to put an article in the paper again with comparisons to
Like the
districts
other
in our
smaller
city.
districts that are, you know.
So that's not on Chris,
To
that's
show
not
that
Chris.
we're the top, you know, to show
Yeah.
and help support moving towards us being the
Accurate.
small
Part of
school
that.
district of choice.
Yep.
The front page of our website.
Right,
Correct.
right.
That- that
And
will
it's
be-
part of the communication goal.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you can also
Anything
lean
more?
in on things like your post-secondary days, right?
Mhm.
Like, yes, your report card overall, but then highlight some of those numbers that our kids are coming out with real skills, right? Like, that's another thing. Okay.
Oh, right, like
The industry.
we as a
statistics.
district are supporting 69% or 123 students to complete a dual enrollment course, which means they're graduating with college credits.
Right.
I mean,
And
that's huge.
That's 123 students, not courses.
Right, and 123 students in a year? Like 123 students of like what? Because we only have 150.
We only have 150.
Total students at the high school.
Oh, right, but 123 students of what?
But it's the high school level.
Because they can
So-
take, a student
So
who's
it's
not
not
a
just
senior can
seniors.
take a,
I understand.
yeah, you said.
Are we really saying that 123 of our 150 students have completed a dual enrollment course?
My understanding is the same as Chris is they
Several
don't.
students get
That was
many,
get many of them.
yeah, like some students get several.
We
So this
offer,
isn't individual, like this, a student could be counted twice.
I believe the way it's supposed to be done is it's individual students.
I agree with Chris. I thought it was individual students they track. So if one student takes 3, they still only count as 1. It's per student.
If
But
we
we can
could
get more.
double check on
Yeah, let's
that,
get more.
yeah.
Let's.
I mean, I'm really proud of how many
Yeah.
are doing this. I'm not sure we're only missing 25 students that didn't. That seems,
well, I think last year we had like 168 students.
Well, then that's not possible.
that 123 of them
At the
got
high
dual
school?
credits?
You're
At the high
saying
school.
total students,
Correct.
but how many did it list for taking it? Well, we'll find out. the
Okay,
answer.
let's get,
A little, yeah, let's get deeper into that.
So then can you hit next? So then, so you've kind of started doing some of these things. These are options. I've had boards in the past, like where do we take it from here? So here's some possibilities in there. The one that I highlight is what stories or successes does this miss, especially when you guys are talking about your website for future, right? Like, there's a lot of good in this report, but some of your parents are gonna come and be like, I just wanna know that my kid's gonna be welcome there, right? So what other things can you add to this? Or what other stories do you wanna talk about, in conjunction with this in there as well? And maybe what kind of local data is saying, especially like when we talk about ELA, maybe highlighting the work that the staff is doing, and so they're working hard to bring that up already and have that, would be pieces in there as well.
Jen, if I may, I sent the board members and Jen, I sent you an email because I did want to, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I want board members to know what it is that I sent. Can you pull that? So this was sent to after, nope, it'd be, I would have just sent it to you, it'd be above that one. It was related to forward exam info is the title of the email. Can you refresh? Any board members, can you check to make sure you got it? Because I sent it. It's titled, the email is forward exam info. You got it? Because I'd like to talk about, the reason I'd like this, just briefly to go over this to show you what gentleman sent it back to you, because Billy can pull it up. So after our leadership meeting at CISA 5 last week, the principals and I went to the leadership meeting with Chris, and they shared some documents that we then shared with staff with an email, like, so what does this data do? What are we gonna do with this data? How do we translate to staff, like, what are areas we're doing well and what do we need to focus on? And these attachments in this email that you see, and you can look through it later, this was sent out to all staff to talk about, so I would just give you one example. From this data of what percentage each of these things count on the test. So can you pull one of those up, Jen? Anyone? So right here, so right there for third grade reading, key ideas and details is a big value score. So this was shared with all staff. Now, this doesn't mean you don't do vocabulary use, because we know vocabulary use is very important. However, focusing on key ideas and details is going to have a huge impact on the test results, but it's also good just knowledge to have, right? Focusing on that. So this information was shared both for the ACT exam and for the forward with all staff. So at their PLC discussions, they can talk about these areas. And what it might be is focusing on key ideas and details. That isn't just an English thing. That could be in all your curricular areas, social studies, right? So that teachers know, hey, when we have the opportunity to really focus in on key ideas and details, because that's going to have an impact. So that was something that they shared with us that was very useful to get in the hands of staff to see how are we scoring in these areas and then knowing what the value impacts are off the test.
So, okay, my question is, to me, these are raw scores. What's the benchmark? What's the?
This is the blueprint, so it's telling you in third grade on the reading test, there's 12 points coming from key ideas and details, 7 from craft and structure, and 5.
Just raw points.
So it's really kind of the scoring rubric.
Yeah. So your text types and purposes and key ideas and details would be 2 areas you would say we have to focus on those things, because those things account for, almost half of the test points for those grade levels. And it changes by grade level somewhat, not significantly, but we had this breakdown for both math and English and actually science and social studies for all staff. We shared all with them. So we can look at it later. I just wanted to mention that as far as like, this is all great having this information. How do we use it moving forward? Well, this is one way to put it in the hands of staff for these PLC discussions to focus on, are we doing this and are we doing it enough? So
then the last part is if you have any questions for me before I head out.
thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you. Extremely helpful every year. Chris leads our data dives, by the way, with staff. She comes on district and leads our data dives. She's great.
This is some stuff to absorb, and that we may have questions later, so can we send them to you, Jason?
And then I'll send them to Chris.
Send them to Chris.
Yep.
Okay. That would be great.
Thanks, Chris.
And you have the presentation that has the questions and
Yes.
stuff in it too, so feel free to use that.
Yes, appreciate that. Okay.
All right, so we have the advanced learning report to you. So what is advanced learning and what does it look like at Pittsville High School? So advanced learning is a system of providing appropriate challenges and opportunities for students who have shown through actions or achievement to be ready. Pittsville High School is dedicated to provide programming for our advanced learners through their time in our school. And we believe that students demonstrate in 5 areas of gifted and talented in many ways, and our duty is to notice these students, respond to their needs in a timely manner, and keep them engaged as they hone on their skills and meet their potential. So the goals of this is just to make sure we're supporting our advanced learners through different offerings and differentiation available in the general education classroom. I think that's the biggest piece, is that differentiation within the classroom given by the expert teacher. Build a supportive relationship between home and school for each student, and like communication with them that they are advanced, and just having those conversations. We do this so Marissa Peterson, our school counselor, meets with each student
like junior meetings are going on right now, talking with them about their, upcoming ACT, talking about them, with their pre-ACT score. She does a really nice job of making sure that they're gonna meet the graduation requirements. So really honing in on that communication with families. Ensuring that their academic success is appropriate for their advanced learning for each student and to serve as resources for professional development in the community in regards to advanced learning. So some different opportunities that we have, obviously number one, differentiation within the classroom that meet the needs of each student at their level. Our ECCP and Start College Now opportunities that we provide to students. We've said this before, but obviously we want students to take our courses that we offer, but we know that there's definite needs that students want to earn college credit opportunities. Dual credit offered in our school, AP courses. We're also looking at implementing different courses or other courses that are that are not offered. So like psychology is a big one that kids take, and we're looking at who can teach it and how they can teach it and what that looks like. So thinking about other things along those lines. We have test out opportunities for our incoming ninth graders in English and math. Does not mean that those are credit classes that they take. So if an eighth grader takes Algebra 1, that's not a math credit, because when they get to high school, we want them to really keep challenging themselves, taking AP Calc and statistics. So some of those upper level classes. We have different opportunities such as Math League, Forensics, Educator Rising, Global Scholars credentials, club opportunities, and we offer definite extracurricular activities such as art, forensics, NHS, drama, history, quiz bowl, student council, stuff like that, different leadership opportunities.
What does SO stand for?
Great question, Science Olympiad, thank you. We don't call it SO, so I had some help creating these slides.
Okay.
At the Pittsville Middle School, we have test out, so like I just explained, we're also looking at creative scheduling for this. We're looking at the schedule in the middle school this year and designing it to be a true middle school. Again, with our shared staff, it's definitely a challenge. We had our first meeting today, but looking at different ways where we can align our 8th grade math with our Algebra 1 class. So they're given at the same time, so those kids can come over. That's already in place. We're also looking at next year of having English 1 offered at the same time as 8th grade, as their 8th grade English class. So those advanced learners can come over and can, instead of a test out process, more of taking the course and seeing if they're ready, if they show that they're ready for that next level. So. I do have a question for the board.
Okay.
Is there anything that has been done in the past for like advanced English 1 or English 9 advanced? Has there been any conversation that you guys are aware of, like something with tracking? Like you don't want us to be tracking students or anything like that? And an English teacher had brought that to my attention, and I said I would ask during this presentation, but I was just curious if that has ever been in conversation with specifics to advanced learning.
Do you mean like having 2 different English classes, one for kids that are advanced and one for kids that aren't?
Correct.
Not at the 8th grade, 9th grade level.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about like high school level?
Yeah.
12th grade, there's just to be 2 different ones.
Yeah, there was 2.
Okay, just interesting to get some history on it, and I was asked, and I was like, I don't know that answer, and I said I would ask you guys. But if that's not, I guess there's maybe a perspective that was not approved by the board, and so I would just like to get clarification from our English department. There's some really good stuff going on. There's some really like authentic conversations of like, what are we doing with these students and how are we helping them with the English, with obviously we started the English fundamentals classes here, it's going very well. But there's just some there's just some conversation this past week about tracking students.
What's the difference between having English fundamentals and then having an advanced English one? Like as far as tracking goes?
I think, I mean, I can remember from, and I'm not saying I have an opinion, because I would ask the educators to share with us as the board in data around pros and cons. I think I would see as the difference in having the exact same class, and you get pegged at being someone who should be in an advanced class or a not advanced class, and it's the same class. The difference of what we have, at least currently, would be there are different alternatives of classes to take.
And what's offered.
Right, so,
Yeah.
I think I remember a time when I might have been in school here, maybe, where there could have been like an English 9 that was like 2 different English 9 classes, and it kind of split the kids from advanced and not advanced. And I think what I remember from it, which would be my only caution of, like, how do you get in that advanced versus not advanced? Like, who chooses which kid gets the, you know, and I only say that from the perspective of, I even remember being in 8th grade and like, who gets to go over to algebra in high school and who doesn't, and like, which one, like, how did you get chosen versus you, and was it a test that you took, and like, maybe you just don't test, like, there's so many different things that I think open cans of worms that people have, like, a lot of feelings come out about it, versus I'm signing up for English fundamentals because that fits me better, is different than I have 2 English 9 classes and I got the smart class, and I didn't get the smart class, right? Like so again, I don't have a problem with us offering different things and what that looks like.
Yeah.
I think that might be what the teacher's referencing.
So I know of instances where this, like, students are identified and they had kind of like their own advanced learning plan. They'd be in the same class, but using a lot more work. So they're in the same class, but just doing more things in their class. And that was like based on.
And that's not a true advanced track when it's just additional work. And I have to get this is a piece I have to throw in with this because I'm very passionate about it. A student can be gifted in multiple components of a class. So you might have a kid who's advanced in oral fluency, okay? Like, without having that standards-based component of grading this, like, that would be my question is, what metrics are we using to determine who goes into the advanced track and what are the cutoff? It would take a lot of work to set up what this is gonna look like. And I've seen research based upon what do the scores look like compared to just differentiating in the classroom, and honestly, there's a negligible difference. Sometimes it can have a detrimental impact because it ends up just being an additional workload for those students. So it's complicated. I wouldn't say no as the director of curriculum instruction. I would just say we would need to have conversations and look at data to see.
I think too, like, looking at students that are testing out, you know, so like, let's just say Algebra 1, you know, we get a kid that tests out in 8th grade. But Algebra 1 is a big portion of the ACT. You know, they're 2 years removed, or 2+ years removed from getting that algebra material. Now, we are implementing like a boot camp ACT stuff, so I don't know. I go back and forth and I think there's, like I said, authentic conversations happening around this of like, you know, what is the true definition of somebody that tests out, and what does that look like, and who's deciding this, and I think
I
we
don't
have a
wanna
better
hold any
system.
student back, but I also don't wanna hold any student back.
Yes.
And so if someone maybe isn't quite in that,
Correct.
but they're willing to work their tail off to be in, like, I don't know, like, it's just, I wouldn't want to administer it for one thing, so let's see what you actually.
You're creating the haves and have-nots, and something else to remember, kids who are advanced more than one grade in any content area, typically are gonna have gaps.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how high achieving they are, it'd be the example of like a freshman being moved up to the varsity basketball squad. You still need basic skills, right, to be successful at that. It isn't just gonna pop them on the court and you're gonna be successful. So, like, sometimes when you accelerate too quickly, too soon, you get kids who have gaps in a lot of the basic skills that become evident when they're like a junior. or a senior. So it's just a Pandora's box. It's a bigger discussion than just us tonight, but.
I just have one question about the whole advanced learning program. What would we be approving tonight? Because it has an action item, like what are we approving? I mean, I
It's
feel
just
like
a
you gave us
yearly
good
report.
information, but like.
It's a yearly report.
It's a required report. It's a
Oh,
policy that
I
we
got
do a
it.
report every
Okay,
year.
it's
It's just
just
a
a
report.
report. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
just
Thank you.
acknowledging the report.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. If we could go back to the previous slide where it listed the PHS opportunities. And number one, can you give an example or two of differentiation in each classroom? I think, I was thinking maybe, Nate, that you touched on that when you said, sometimes in classes, kids get more stuff to do. Give us an example in a few core classes.
Sure.
How
So, like you might have in an English class, let's say like different levels of text. That's differentiation. In a math class, you might have, I know in an 8th grade class right now, like there's a student that's doing a whole different course because she's an advanced learner. She's doing it through RVA. Not the typical differentiation within the classroom because she also has 25 other students. But that one student, right now, she's going to be taking algebra, or she actually is going to be taking geometry because she took algebra in a previous year. So we're trying to fill the gap right now of what that looks like. You could also say, like, let's say a differentiation between projects that they do. It could be advanced, it could be more research, it could be, I don't know.
Creating a video.
It could be,
Something oral, like
yeah.
an oral test where you can, if a student has trouble writing it, but they can tell you everything they know about it, that's just another way to gain, finding out what they do know. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor.
I'll make a motion to approve the advanced learning program as presented.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the advanced learning program as presented. Any final questions? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item C is the Notice of Educational Options, Policy 343.4 Exhibit. This is just an update that covers the school
Changes.
report card.
Yeah, the changes to the report card.
Do we have to have a second reading?
We wouldn't, the board could forego, it's just simply updating the.
I'll move to forego second reading and make a motion to approve it at first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to move this on to a final reading, second reading, final reading.
No,
No.
I forego the second reading.
Forego the second reading.
And I make a motion to approve policy 343.4 exhibit.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next, we are to the Pittsville Child Care Center update. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, thanks. So I'm Wendy Jackson, for those of you that don't know me. I came to Pittsville in July as the 2-year-old teacher. I'm still the 2-year-old teacher. It's been fun being the 2-year-old teacher. It's been a bit of a challenge, getting up there in age, so getting off the floor is a little harder than it should be. They definitely keep me on my toes. I don't want to bore you too much with my resume, but I do have 18 years of experience being an assistant director and a director at a child care center in St. Paul. I moved here in May. Well, I moved to Spencer in May to be with my fiance, and that's what brought me this way. I've been in childcare since 1990. My aunt had a very small group center in Wisconsin Rapids, and that's what kind of pushed me into the field. The staff here at Pittsville has been amazing. The ladies that I work with in the child care center are, I can't say enough wonderful things about them. I mean, they really put their kids first. They put the welfare of their children first. The program, ahead of anything else. I can't rave about them enough. They are just a bunch of wonderful women there. The program has a pretty good foundation. My first official day as the interim director of licensing showed up. So I got to walk through the center with Heather, our state licensor. And I actually looked at it as a great learning experience because it's been since before 2007, I think, that I've had to deal with Wisconsin state licensing. So I asked a lot of questions. I learned a lot of things. I'm still learning from Heather. I still shoot her questions here and there. I'm not afraid to ask her questions whatsoever. The next couple of months, we're looking at curriculum to align with the school district's curriculum. Erin, my 3-year-old teacher, is kind of doing that already in the threes room. She uses a curriculum that's either the same or similar to what the 4K is using. So we figure since our kids are going to be the next generation of Panthers, they're the itty bitty Panther Cubs that are going to be moving up, they should be on the same curriculum that you guys are on so that the transition is just smoother into the school. Our infants and toddlers will continue to stay play-based and focus on a whole child approach using the state standards for early childhood. They use this Nemo's over here, which I wasn't familiar with. I'm getting to know them very well. So I'm looking at the creative curriculum and the focus portfolios because we're supposed to be offering parents assessments 2 times a year. And I don't know if that's been happening. So hopefully we can get this in place and start offering assessments. I'm not gonna say by May, by next year, like September. Just because I'm gonna need time to really come up with working with the team to make sure this is the way they wanna go and then training people on it so that we can move forward.
So you're saying that's something like we want to do or something we have to do because of this?
Well, the state says we should be offering assessments to our parents and they should be offered twice a year.
Like a screener, like ASQ, like ages and stages?
No, more like, just that, like, these are what I'm seeing Johnny doing at school, and these are his friends, and this is his favorite activity, and Erin has a nice broken down one where she can like screen for, do they know their colors, do they know their letters, do they know their shapes, things that parents are gonna wanna know that they're on track for kindergarten. So I think it would be more of, like at the earlier level, would be taking photos of maybe your kids engaging with other children and staff, and then having a write-up of what's going on and what marks are they hitting developmentally so that parents have that evidence in front of them. So to tie all that together, that gets us in then for a better Young Star rating. And then with Young Star, that makes us more available for scholarships and scholarshiping programs and a little more money for parents that might not be able to afford us to get some help in the door. Then I'd like to go the next level with that eventually and get us with NACE accreditation, and they're the National Association for the Education of Young Children. We were a 5-star in the program that I came from. And then Parent Aware was our Young Star, so we had an automatic 5-star with Parent Aware, which got us more scholarshiping and more county money for our parents that couldn't afford tuition. So what I did was, because I'm so new being fresh back into the Wisconsin laws, is I enrolled myself in a director's program that was free with WICA They're a Wisconsin Early Childhood Association. I have a coach. We meet once a month. She helps me with, she's gonna pick about part on handbook, our policies. We're gonna look at how to get enrollment in the door, how to get staff in the door, how to retain staff, marketing, and all the good stuff that I'm gonna need to make our program successful. The ladies that I'm working with, our staff, they're all on board. They wanna see us succeed. They wanna see us grow. So I would like to get all of our spots filled and staff in the door and have a thriving program. And I think we got the good base for it. I've also been working with childcaring.org, which is Essential Wisconsin Early Childhood Resource. I've been asking Kelly over there questions like crazy. She's been very quick to respond to me and get me to her team if she can't answer my questions. And right now, I think we're just baby stepping our way to the growth and a good future here at Pittsville. So that's where I'm at right now, on top of trying to be a 2-year-old teacher.
Well, we've heard good things about you, so.
Well, thank you.
And welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
And you indicate in here, under enrollment that we're expecting 4 new children by the end of January?
We had a new infant start.
Okay.
Just last week. I've had 2 moms reach out to me from a family childcare that's closing doors.
Okay.
So they're looking to start in January.
Great.
One would be full-time and one would take up a 2-day spot that would help fill another part-timer to be a full-time spot. And I have another mom that's looking at part-time. So it'll be slow. January, May, and August. Those are usually your 3 big push months to get enrollment in the door. Because that's usually when people are trying to change up their program, if their programming is not fitting with their child, or if they're making a move, that's usually the months that they do it. So.
Are we meeting the needs of everyone who's reached out? So do we have any child waiting right now?
Right now, the problem is I can't find a teacher to take my spot as the 2-year-old teacher. So our space is limited. So I think I've met the needs of the people that are currently have asked to get in. And now we've got a wait list of infants. But with me being a 2-year-old teacher, I can't expand because there's no help. So if I had a 2-year-old teacher, then that would free me up to help fill spaces. If my teachers needed an assistant, or if somebody took the day off, then I could go in that classroom and float in as the sub. Right now, if someone takes a day off, or if someone's sick and somebody has the day off, then we're shifting kids into classes, or Erin and I'll combine so that we can have each other's, we can have a little more in the ratio with the 2 teachers versus 1 teacher in one room and 1 teacher in the other room.
So currently, how many kids would come tomorrow if we had enough staff? How many kids are waiting that would actually come tomorrow if we had the appropriate staff?
I don't have that number in front of me right now. Can I get back to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then also know, how can we support? So,
Okay.
what's the answer, or what is your suggestion? And you don't have to answer it now, right? But what can we do and how can we support? Because it's really important for us. One of the key components from at least myself, and I believe we've said from the board, is if we are using taxpayer dollars to help support continuing that we have a childcare, which we're not opposed to there being some of that, but then we have to make sure we're meeting the community needs. We can't not have people from Pittsville who are actually paying to have childcare in the community from a taxpayer perspective, then not be able to benefit from it, right? So so we're very committed to what could be the solution? What ideas might you have to for that issue, so that we're making sure that when people who live in Pittsville want to choose us as their childcare, we're there and we're able to actually meet that need.
Right.
And I say all of that with, and thank you. This was an awesome presentation, talking to us and giving us the update and where you're at and the things that you're going after. Like, I'm really excited about what will be coming in the next year. And it's not gonna turn around overnight, it's gonna turn around one step at a time, right? So
Right.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been definitely a challenge, but I can't do it without the staff. I mean, I can't do it without the team, and I came into a wonderful team. They've been so supportive, and they're just so, what can we do? Let's get the ball rolling. I mean, there would be no childcare without those ladies. So.
So, once again, staffing.
I would just comment on the staffing, if you recall, board, is that when we had the transition with Wendy into that spot, we did not replace one of the positions because we wanted to wait and have some flexibility. So we do have some flexibility if it's determined that those kids on the wait list, by adding the staff member, we could bring them off the wait list. We kept that flexibility by not immediately replacing that position with the restructuring, so.
So, I guess I have a follow-up question on that. So, do we not have a staff to actually meet the needs of the kids who want to come because we're not actually recruiting and posting it because we've made that choice? Or is it because no one's applying?
No one's applying.
Oh, no one's applying. That's what I assumed, but then I go,
Right, we've had interviews scheduled and then they take a job elsewhere, or they just
I got
don't
it.
show.
No, I just didn't know if we made a conscious
No,
decision.
we're
actually. Okay, got it.
advertising all over the place.
Oh, got it.
As
Okay,
soon as the
perfect.
numbers indicated we wanted to, the job,
Perfect.
it's been posted and we just haven't found.
It's been in the Pittsville
Yeah,
record,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
four times, I think, yeah.
Okay,
If
thank
we
you.
can find an applicant that's viable, we will move forward and get the kids off the wait list. Okay,
Super.
thank you, Wendy.
And hopefully we'll grow the wait list. I mean, we grow the program and then we're full with teachers and assistant teachers in the rooms, and then we have a wait list on the side.
Yeah.
And then, there you go, that's where you want to be, so.
The childcare of choice.
Some of the people on the wait list though haven't been born yet.
Right, absolutely.
You gotta remember that, there's people on the wait list that are not born
Well,
yet.
and
It's
that's
not
why I
only
asked the
our
question.
some
That
people
actually would
are
come
not born.
tomorrow if we had a spot.
Right.
We do have quite a bit of the wait list is mommies that are waiting to have
Expecting.
babies.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Probably some that already work here.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. With a few of those. Yes, yes.
Make a whole
Thank you, Wendy.
spread.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Happy moving.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's go on to item E, purchase approvals. First of all, we have a dishwasher.
Yeah, I want to point out, so the updated, did you get that from me? I don't know why stuff is not sending through. So that total from DFE, that was the original quote they gave us. And then we did some research, had reached out to Dan Giles and he had indicated he had used Websterant. I reached out to Websterant and through negotiating with DFE, based upon the Websterant quote, which did not involve shipping or any installation, was able to get them to drop their quote by $3,000. So the updated quote would be $23,374.50, and that includes all installation, removal of existing equipment. The other quote for Websterant was just the device, like would have been just the dishwasher. So the decision was made at that point. And I'll be honest with you, I used the school board for leverage. I said I have a very fiscally conservative school board, and I said they're gonna be asking questions, even though I knew installation was a big part of the difference.
Yes.
And he ended up dropping $3,000 off the cost for us. So the quote is $23,374.50 is the actual quote.
So I have two questions.
Yep.
Is the dishwasher broken?
Yeah, well, the dishwasher is, so, Taylor, how long ago was that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
4 weeks ago when this precipitated, we had water gushing all over the kitchen at the high school. Yeah, and it was out of commission, we called these guys, they came down,
We're not happy.
and here's what it is now. The current, the current parts for this unit are not something that you can readily replace. So what they have right now is DFE has 2 of these units that are like old units up there. And what they did is they pulled parts off of one of those units to replace this. And they're getting to the point where they don't have the parts available to keep replacing this, but this thing is at end of life expectancy. This has been being discussed for going on 3 years about replacing the unit. And we're at the point now where every time we're having a failure of this equipment, we're spending $3,000 to get it repaired.
And
So
are we using capital dollars from that account to pay for this?
We'll be spending money on the food service, I believe, for this.
yeah, food service. But yeah, it was at the point of weighing the cost of repairs.
Was it Fund 46? I honestly don't know what our, so I don't remember if it was Fund 46 or Fund 50.
I believe, Pam, this was a Fund 46 purchase, a
Fund
capital,
46,
a capital purchase.
Okay, if it's a capital purchase, we actually have that money, right? In a capital
Yes,
account.
we do.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Because food service is running a deficit, so if we
Yes.
pay for it out of the deficit, we're just gonna pull it out of the general fund at the end of the year, right?
I am
Right.
99% sure this is out of Fund
Fund
46.
Okay.
But that was the biggest component that went into this, is after we stuck the latest $3,000 repair into it, it's like at this point, you're throwing money into a well and it's disappearing, and it needed to be replaced, so.
Right. Yeah, my only comment is that, finding out that it's like 3 years past its lifespan, I would suggest that when we get our new building and grounds person, that we have some type of document that tracks the lifespan of equipment, so we can
Great idea.
respond in a more
There's another piece.
proactive manner.
I did want to say this, there's another piece not listed on here that DFE does. They submitted for focus on energy credits for us for this, so we will get a rebate. We won't know how much, but they submitted for rebates related, because it's an energy efficiency operation. So we're gonna get some additional money back from that, and they did all the paperwork to submit that for us, so. But yes, agreed, we need to do better asset tracking so we can kind of get ahead of these aging assets.
But even with the DFE quote, we have another quote too that's cheaper.
So the Webster quote is just for the device itself, for the dishwasher.
Not for.
It doesn't include installation, shipping, removal of the existing equipment. This quote for DFE, they're gonna do everything but the plumbing hookup for us. for
So
that.
Webster, there's a lot not included.
That's absolutely what the case is, yes. Yeah, this is a company who's out of Wausau that services our equipment now. They do the installation, other than we have to have a plumber come and hook the plumbing up, that's all we have to do. They will get rid of the equipment, and they will have it fully operational and set up for us to go in. They did the energy credits, and that includes the freight delivery, they're gonna deliver it to
And
us.
electrically, it's gonna fit in.
Yep, it's the same unit, it's just a newer version of the same unit, the specs are all the same as far as the size and everything else, so. We had this on, when I talked to them, we got a quote about 6 months ago on this same unit. And we just didn't pull the trigger on it. The price went up a little bit, but between the credits that we're getting for the focus on energy credits and the discount he gave us, I think we're probably pretty comparative of where that was before.
Sounds good. Tell us about the boilers.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
So, the latest update, so on the boilers, here's what and I was wrong on one component of my update to the board about the age of the equipment, because I wasn't told until the complete controls folks showed up to view the units. One of them is 9 years old, the other one is 4 years old that's up there. So where that is relevant is the warranty is 10 years on both units. So the one that is 9 years old, it is obviously going to be a prorated warranty. You know how that works, that further you get into the warranty, because it's almost said it's the bright side is that's the cheaper of the repair, the units. The more expensive unit is only 4 years old. They were pretty confident we're gonna get a significant amount of that reimbursed through the warranty service. Neither one of the warranties cover labor or installation. So that's pretty common with warranties. So the reality of this too is, this stinks. I don't know any other way to put the timing of how this happened. However, the reality is we need heat. And both units, the one unit is not, the heat exchanger is what went wrong, but you can't replace the heat exchanger in the unit. I said, that's a great business model. You build a unit that can't have the heat exchanger replaced, you gotta buy a whole new unit. Both companies are requiring and I guess this is standard from what I'm hearing from Complete Controls, we have to ship the unit back to them before they will let us know if we qualify for the warranty. Hence the reason we have to get the new units installed to make sure we have heat, because right now, I think I shared with you guys, every 8 hours, we're going up and opening a valve to let water pressurize and fill the system to keep the heat running on the only boiler that's still running. And if that boiler fails, we have no heat from the varsity gym all the way to the end of the CT building. So we are gonna have to then send these units back. They will evaluate, and they will then give us a reimbursement based upon the warranty period. And if they can determine that it was not, the only two things that would not allow warranty to be recouped is faulty installation, faulty maintenance. We have this was a big one they asked us, we have a chemical guy that comes here and checks our chemical levels on water. That's a huge deal. Because if you're running like water that's not treated through these things that could void the warranty, we have that. Complete Control knows that we have all the documentation that our water is checked monthly by our chemical guy. So that's there. Installation, companies have been known to claim that the warranty's not done because the installation was improper. That was done by Stainless during the referendum. The company was Stainless, I don't know where they're out of. Yeah, so they did the installation. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that would be, if they were trying to claim that the warranty was because of improper installation, we would then have to get recourse to the installer.
What's the status of that installation and sealing?
So finally got the person here, came today. The guy showed up, it's a very specialized thing. There's not a lot of people. He's out of Greenwood. He actually showed up today. Dan Merritt took him and showed him the area that needed to be insulated. So this would be the first Pam's hearing this number because I got it late in the day. So he did an estimate of what needed to be done. I would say that the estimate is cost prohibitive for what we want. And Stephen and Troy came to me after school and said they have an idea of how we can repair it in-house and insulate it in-house. So Troy apparently had experience with this at Marshfield. They had a similar issue. It's the corner is where the air loss is. And they have a really unique idea to do it in-house for Dan Merritt and Troy and Stephen to solve the problem. So the estimate was $4,400 to do the installation of that full wall, all the way to the ceiling. When Troy and Stephen came to me and said, we got an idea, a little work, it'll be effective, and it's gonna be way cheaper than that, we're gonna end up going with the in-house solution, so.
And is that a solution that has been used at Troy?
Both of them have significant construction background knowledge, and they were adamant that this would stop the heat loss and the airflow where it was coming in by doing the solution in-house. So,
because that's a measure that can affect our warranty.
if we have a known fault, yeah, but what the deal would be right now is, this is what the insulation guy told me today. We actually have bats of insulation up there. They're up there, okay? The problem is, they're bats, and as time goes on, they come away from the wall, right? And things happen to the point where you're not getting the true R value that it was when it was originally put in. Now, what he told me is, by the letter of the law, you can say, well, we have R28 up there, even though it's not focused on it. I don't want to take the risk of saying, well, we have R28. So what Troy and Stephen said is they can enhance the existing insulation and then get that corner where all the airflow is coming in. And part of it is going to be about running a vent up in that area, running vents in that area so that the heat flow goes up into that area. So they had a really good idea. They both have significant experience. And I said, when they came to me and said, Jason, I don't think we want to spend this money. We can do this. And I said, let's talk more tomorrow, but I like what I'm hearing. So that's the plan. Good to hear. But the boilers, this is the other cost saving procedure. If they said if we can do the installation in the same week, it'll save significantly on the installation cost because they have to bring equipment here.
Right.
And I told them we will do everything within our power to make that happen. So I told them kind of what our schedule looks like the next several weeks, because the heat exchanger is in that we ordered, the one that's the heat exchanger that's able to be replaced. That's the lock and bar, I believe. And then the other boiler is in stock whenever. Like they have those units in stock. So what'll happen is they're going to schedule with us. They need a week. They will schedule with us. They will have to put plywood down on the gym floor because they have to drive a lift in, and they lift these units up through those double doors you see way up above by the wrestling mat. So I told them we absolutely can. It'll cut the installation costs in half if we can do it in the same week. And I said, we're gonna make that happen. So I've already talked to the FIAD teachers to tell them, you guys may be sledding for a week. Just a reality, you might be sledding for a week or in the multi-purpose room, to be able to make that happen. And then obviously the basketball teams would adjust. We would do it when there were no home games, but we would adjust our practices to make that happen. So I'm waiting to hear back from them when they're gonna give me a 2-week range of what week would work, and then we'll schedule that and get those both done at the same time to save money.
So we need both of these, right?
We need both of these, and here's why.
Okay.
It's a redundant, so one of these is a backup, one of these is a primary. It just so happens, as luck would have it, within a 2-week period, our primary and our backup both failed, okay? So the system is designed that if the one fails, the other one will pick up the workload. So, yeah, so it would be, and I guess, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, if you're asking, like, could we just do the one, the primary, and wait on the other one? We could, but we risk having the warranty, especially the one that's the 9-year-old. A year from now, we won't get any money back on the warranty because it'll be 10-year warranty will expire. So my recommendation is, knowing that we're gonna get some of the money back and knowing how important, like, this is like significantly important to keep the billing needed, that we just do both units at once, and then we have that system set up where if we have a failure, we can keep heating.
Will this come out of capital also?
Correct.
Will it be depreciated? Yes.
Yes.
Well, we don't.
We don't know how much,
But then whatever money comes back from the warranty
We'll
will
go back to the
offset it.
capital.
Plus, we should get focused on energy credits on both
Yeah.
boilers.
And we will
offset
get
it.
focused on energy credits on both at the.
What kind of a
and this-
guarantee do we have that we'll get 4 years or more than 4? Is it
You get a 10-year warranty again on them, just like we got a 10-year warranty. So now, the only thing that's mildly concerning is when you have 2 units that are separate units by different manufacturers, both fail within weeks of each other, and one 9 years old and one 4 years old, is that, and it's something we're looking at, is there something systemically that's causing the failure of the units? And that's something that Complete Controls will evaluate during this process, is to make sure that there's not something we're missing. It's not the water. The glycol is what runs the system. There's a glycol in there, and that was how we knew there was a leak, is the glycol was gone out of the tank. It's green, and the glycol was gone, right? So we understood that there was a leak somewhere in the system. They were able to close the manifolds on the whole system because it runs underground and in the ceilings all the way through this building. So they kept closing the manifolds and isolated until they eventually determined, when they got all of them shut, so it was only the boiler itself running, that the pressure still dropped, which means it's in the boiler, and then they were able to isolate it to the bottom of the boiler, the heat exchanger. It was a cumbersome process.
So again, these 2 expenses would come out of the capital dollar amount, so
Accurate.
it won't hit our.
No.
Our
fund,
Yeah, and any money recouped from the
Yeah,
warranty
we'll
will
go
go
right
back
back
into
in.
the capital.
And do we know what our capital?
I wanna say,
300,000?
well, there's a balance sheet up there, Jim, for 46, Fund 46. I think it's like 320-some thousand.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And Complete Control said that they will fight
Can you just
for us if
expand it?
there's any monkey business with the warranty, because we've done all the maintenance, they do it.
That's fine.
And,
You gotta go further that way though. Go further to the right, Jen. 324,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Any other questions related to the boilers, or are we ready to move on to the phone system?
Yeah, it's just a real joy.
Yeah.
This one's good.
here's the
Like
bright
half the
side,
cost.
this is like Christmas time, you don't recall what the budget number was.
Yeah.
The budget number was
$45,000.
So,
And we can do it for less.
yeah, and after,
And it looks like there's no reoccurring annual costs with the one you're choosing.
there's a
It's a real
3-year,
5-year.
yeah, we took the
Work on
5-year,
five-year
that should have been on, hold on. So, Jen, did that last? I had asked Michael to put this together, that,
The option summary.
did you get this? Yeah, the option.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the 5-year renewal would be a total of $4,723. That's not per year, that's total for the 5 years. So we are recommending the 5-year option, so that'll be full service for 5 years at a total cost of about the same as it would be for 1 year of service, the $944. So that's the only reoccurring cost, would be the $4,723. This is Skyward that we would be recommending to go with.
And,
So what was their 5 years?
5-year service, complete service. Like they service it, anything that goes wrong with the system.
But it says, it's the one in green, right?
Yeah, the one in green.
Yeah,
And
if you
it
look,
says estimated annual recurring cost is zero.
yeah, did you see this sheet right here?
The mini bid?
If you look at the top, that 5-year cost is built into this 25, so once we pay that, there's no additional cost per year. It's like, that's what we pay. So he built that into this quote at 20. This is a really good deal compared to where we thought we were gonna be with that, with $45,000. 25 total, and that includes the 5-year service agreement.
32,000.
I don't know.
Well, probably that 5-year term.
What's that, Chris?
Yes.
The Skyward 32,000, are you asking?
Yes.
That would have been the 1 year, and then we would have had to pay for service for the next 4 years, so then that was an accumulation.
Okay.
So this just made more
After
sense
5
fiscally
years,
to
that
take the
one would
5
have
years
cost us
upfront and pay
32,
it.
where
Yeah.
this one, if we pay it up front, will be 25.
And there is, don't quote me on this, but the existing equipment we have, there are still districts that will upgrade to Mitel's new system. It's not cost effective for us, but Michael is going to try to see if our equipment, our phone equipment that we have, the Mitel equipment, could be resold. And we're not gonna get top dollar for it, but we might get, some of it is newer equipment. And I will just say this, one of the things that was disappointing about this process with Mitel is originally this was supposed to be covered until 2029 for service. So they just said this last year, and then they said, and catch this, we have limited stock available of our phones, and when they're gone, they're gone. Well, so all these people rush to buy these phones because they're like, they're not gonna have any more. And then 2 months later, they announced that they were ending life now in January. So I said to Michael, it was very clear that they wanted to get rid of their closet stock of phones. So they advertised it was gonna go till 2029 and then sold all this equipment and then cut off the lifeline with 4 months notice that they were ending life. So all that being said, this was really, as Pam said, I think we were all doing happy dances when he got the final bids back from Skyward, because they dropped their initial bid considerably from the start, so.
The other thing that I found interesting was, I think it's called a mini bid, but what it looks like to me is a summary of the scoring for all the different systems. And Skyward is the clear winner.
Yeah,
I mean, you
on that
use
sheet.
a rubric to really evaluate all
Because
of
beyond the
these.
initial cost, you want to look at what are those yearly costs gonna be, and Skyward checked the boxes in all of the components.
And we had budgeted this year.
45,000.
45,000 for it, actually as a budget line.
That's why we said this was good
Yes.
news, is we
Yeah.
came in 20 grand under the budgeted amount, so.
That's very good. And Skyward obviously scored well on
Yeah.
the rubric. So
The equipment fits what we need.
Yeah.
In the support services.
That's a good thing.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchases as presented.
I'll second the motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchases as presented. Any last questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Item F is the 403B vendor.
Do we currently have this?
You should have gotten out.
No, I mean, do we currently have the 403B
Yes.
vendor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have had, yes, those are all of our current providers right now.
Okay.
So they're requesting to,
Oh, just add one.
they want to add,
Oh,
they
I'm
would like to be
sorry.
added as an
I got
option,
it.
and it has to have board
I got
approval.
And I got it, only three choices.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Okay.
So I do have a question, and that is because it's a 403B, I see you've got the Wisconsin Deferred Comp Program on here as a 457B. People can choose that.
They could do both if
They could do both,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It
my
just gives
only-
one more option for staff if they want to do a
My only
presentation.
concern with these people is his office is lacrosse. Now granted, everybody does virtual stuff nowadays, but I mean, a lot of people like to go in and sit with their retirement guy too. He may or may not, or they may or may not have issues trying to get 2 people, because we need to have at least 2 people for them
For them to stay.
to stay. So we'll give them like a 12-month period to get 2 people.
Okay,
Did we have a staff ask or did they ask?
They
I
reached out.
think they reached out.
Yep,
to
they
Jason.
reached out. They
Yeah.
used to be with the school district years back.
Okay.
And then they said they were,
I couldn't find any record of it, but
Sure.
because they
So-
mentioned the Terry Reynolds back in those days in Mary,
So,
that they had been here and they wanted to
Is
get
there-
back in.
okay, I mean, I don't have any problem with it, but I guess I would be like, if a staff asked, like, hey, I wanna use this, I'd be like, it's a no-brainer. Let's
Yeah.
add it to give them, but if we're gonna evaluate it in a year and they're,
Yep.
don't have
If
two
no one,
people,
if
we're
two
gonna kick
people
them
don't
back
take it,
out.
it's off again, and there's no benefit for us as the district, we don't get anything, but it gives another option to staff after they hear the presentation, if they wanna choose that, and if two people don't choose it, then it goes off after a year.
I'm all
Sounds
about
good.
options, so I'll make a motion to approve Wisconsin Retirement Council as a 403B vendor for the district.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve Wisconsin Retirement Council as a 403B vendor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to property insurance.
So when I met with our insurance people this year, I questioned some of the values that were being assigned to our properties. I know that we're very conscious of what we pay for our insurance, but I also don't want us to be underinsured. Cost of replacing a home nowadays is 25% or more of what it was in 2020, but yet our costs or our building values are only going up 3 to 5% every year. I'm concerned it may not be enough. So I am just proposing this. This is someone that's been recommended who's been used quite a bit by the insurance center, our agent, that does, specializes in school districts.
Sure.
So for $3,700, they'll evaluate our properties. Could cause our insurance to go up, could cause our insurance to go down. But we also run the risk of not being fully insured if something did happen. So I was just laying it out there and letting all of you decide, what you wanted to do with it.
Yeah, couldn't another approach be to just seek bids from a number of different insurance companies that look like some fresh eyes of some different insurance companies to see what, they would value us at? I don't know. I'm not an expert in this area. It feels like it's throwing away $3,700.
I think we would still need to pay for an appraisal, an official appraisal, if another insurance agent came.
Which we'd still have to pay regardless.
Right, I think we would have to pay for an appraisal regardless, and there's, I know when I did talk to our people, they go out and bid everybody. So we've had Wright Insurance, we've had Liberty, we've had, I can't think, Agus. So we've had a lot of different ones since my time. They pick who covers us the best. Those different agents haven't ever asked for an appraisal. And the district has been with the insurance center long before I started. So I don't know if there was ever an appraisal done before I started, but I know there hasn't been one done in 10 years. So I just wanted to put it out there as an option, just to not, I don't want to be the one responsible if something happens and we're underinsured, because I've been very adamant with our insurance people that we keep our costs low, but our coverage what it needs to be. So, because I want to be very mindful of what our premiums are, so I just don't want us to be underinsured or overinsured.
Just so I'm clear, so if this comes back, we're underinsured, and we need to kind of do some reevaluating. Okay, so this company, or this would take care of, it's not the actual appraisal. It's not, so I'm saying if we had to upgrade our insurance, like move it up a little bit, You saying we're gonna need another appraisal even though we would have
No, I'm
this
saying if we
information?
went with someone other than the insurance group, so if we chose,
A different group.
like work or somebody like WERC to do it, they would probably make us do an appraisal.
Oh, I see, okay.
So the way school insurance works, there's only a handful of major agencies that do it. And once you're in an agency, the only way to get out is for them to cancel you and then you go with somebody else. So you can't quote until not quote, but you can't change until April or May every year. So you would change your entire pool of people. But the problem is the same pool that our people look at is the same pool that these people look at, that these people look at. So I mean, it's kind of all the same pool. But it's just this document, I mean, this is just to appraise the property we do have, to value it. Not appraise it to sale, but value it as far as what it would cost to replace it.
How much are you insured for now for replacement costs?
I didn't know that.
I mean, how much does it cost, like how much do you spend on that a year?
I don't know off
I'm
the
just
top
wondering,
of
like,
my head, I
if
don't
we
know
just
off the top of my
blindly
head.
gave $3,700 more to coverage, I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
But we're not giving it to coverage.
No, I'm just saying, if we would just.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
raise our coverage by that amount.
It's a good way.
Yeah.
I
Wonder what that would do.
would need more time to digest this, like it feels.
And that's fine, we don't
Yeah.
have to make.
No, I
the only thing
appreciate you
is,
bringing it to
when
me.
they want to do evaluation of the property, of the forest land, because of the lowness of it, they like to do it when it's frozen. That's the only thing, because it's easier to walk around out there when it's frozen. And that's what, because we had somebody who wanted, a long time ago, Mr. Figueroa wanted to do have it mapped out. Can't think, what's what I'm looking for, I can't think. Survey, there you go, I lost my words. But they would not do it until the land was frozen enough that they could actually walk everywhere they needed to.
That was years ago, I don't even think they walk it anymore.
No, probably not, they probably pull up Google Maps, but, and I'm fine either way with this, I just don't want to not come to you with it and then have something catastrophic happen and not have enough coverage for the district. That's the main reason why I'm bringing this to you, so that's.
Okay. So my question is, did this firm approach you?
No, not at all. I spoke with Derek and Tim of the insurance center.
Okay.
And I questioned some of the values, so I kind of thought some of it was overvalued. Like the small storage garage, the announcer's booth on the football field, just because of their ages. I thought, well, are they really valued that high? Should they?
Yeah, replacement cost.
Right, but replacement costs, right.
Okay.
And this is certainly something that could be advanced next month if you guys want to think about it.
How does the board feel about that, pushing it off to next month?
I think so.
I think we go for 6 months.
Yeah, when do we have to re-up our insurance? I guess we would really
I'm
need to know
gonna
right
be probably giving them information in February, March.
now. Okay, yeah, I mean, maybe.
That's better.
Like next month,
Yeah.
and then if you could say how much we're covering for now and how much we're paying for.
Right, I mean, I'm sure that we have it in the board docs for our property values from when we did our insurance. I just didn't think that, I didn't know to have that with me, otherwise I would have brought that along with.
Okay. Let's move it to the January agenda.
January, February.
I will start giving them information probably in February. They're going to start asking for the insurance information, like for me, like changes and additions and.
Okay, so January then.
I would say
I
January.
think
Let's look at
January.
it in Januations.
Okay. Item number 11.
Do we need to make a motion to table this? Okay, just.
Do we need to, are we tabling it or say,
Or just.
Not taking any action.
we're not taking any action and we're gonna move it to January. Yeah, I don't think we have to table it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. Item 11, legislative updates.
I don't have anything exciting.
Just all kinds of hearings going on, but nothing's moving right now. And it has more to do with not fiscal things, but other things that people want to, that people think should be controlled at the state level, where maybe they should really be controlled at the local level. So that's my 2 cents. Okay. Public comments. It doesn't look like we have anyone here unless you want to talk, Jen.
I'm good.
Okay. Then item 13, future agenda items. We have done health insurance bids, WASB delegate assembly resolutions, open enrollment space available for next year, notice of education. Oh, no, we don't have that one anymore. Second reading of that policy. Administrative staff school year summary and goals review, policy 731 update, and key control agreement policy update.
And review the property insurance.
And review the proper, consider if we need to have a property appraisal. Yeah, that'll be added on. Okay. Item number 14 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and meeting adjourned at 8:45.
Guys.